Kasich is 37. Well, Trump and Cruz are now calling for a two-man race. They spent their appearances on the Sunday political shows suggesting that, maybe it's time for Rubio and Kasich to drop out.
Republicans and Democrats will vote in primaries tomorrow in Michigan and Mississippi, and there are GOP contests in Idaho and Hawaii. John Kasich got an endorsement yesterday from Arnold Schwarzenegger at a rally in Ohio, and he also took a moment to honor Nancy Reagan.
She was one of the greatest first ladies, an extraordinary human being.
Nancy Reagan died of congestive heart failure at age 94, remembered fondly in many tributes for her devotion to President Reagan, especially as he battled Alzheimer's disease.
There'll be several days of mourning here at the Reagan Library. The exact schedule has not yet been released to the press. We do know that they already are preparing the burial site, which is right next to her husband, the president, of course.
That's Fox's Adam Housley. This is Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Some clouds this morning. Winds are gusty out of the south at 11 miles an hour. We have 45 degrees. At 5:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Elected officials and community leaders in Illinois remembering First Lady Nancy Reagan for her strength, her anti-drug advocacy, and her devotion to her husband, Ronald Reagan. Nancy Reagan died Sunday at age 94. Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner said in a Sunday statement that she will be remembered for her unwavering support of the country and a pillar to her husband. Illinois Republican Party Chairman Tim Schneider says Reagan represented the best of America. Chicago High School is remembering the former First Lady. Nancy Reagan moved to Chicago as a young girl before graduating from the Latin School for Girls on the near North Side in 1939. Television watchers in this state are going to see plenty of anti-Donald Trump ads over the next week. New York Times says the Club for Growth Action Super PAC is spending $2 million on advertising ahead of the March 15th Illinois primary. Trump has won Republican primaries in several states so far. State Representative Ken Duncan's campaign is under fire. A political attack over allegations of voter fraud. Alderman Pat Dowell and Secretary of State Jesse White brought the accusations during a press conference yesterday, accusing the Chicago Democrat of buying votes in the upcoming election. Authorities are investigating after a man robbed a bank on the Northwest Side. The FBI says the robber entered a TCF bank branch yesterday on Cumberland Avenue. No one was hurt. There's a new leader at a suburban Des Plaines church following the removal of a Catholic priest. Chicago Archbishop Blaise Cupich announcing that the Reverend Esquiel Sanchez has been assigned rector at the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Sanchez replaces the Reverend Marco Mercado. Mercado was removed last fall over claims he had an inappropriate relationship with a man. And a big shakeup at the University of Illinois could be coming as soon as this morning, as former Bears head coach Lovie Smith is about to become the new head football coach for the Fighting Illini. Multiple reports say Smith will replace Bill Cubit, who was fired on Saturday. Smith was fired by the Buccaneers in January after going 8-24 over 2 seasons. You may recall he coached the Bears from 2004 to 2012. Chicago sports, Blackhawks over Detroit, 4-1. Corey Crawford with 33 saves. Men's college baskets, Penn State topped Illinois in double overtime. Northwestern, a winner over Nebraska, 65-54, and history was made in that Wildcat win. For the first time ever, they are a 20-win team. And their reward, they get the 8th seed Michigan in the Big Ten tournament. Major League Baseball found the White Sox in Spring Ball over San Diego with a split squad action. And Arizona over the Cubs, and Peyton Manning retires today. The news is a service of Boys and Girls Clubs of America, 3 p.m. School's out for America's kids. When school's out, clubs are in. Time to support the Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit greatfutures.org. 5:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
University of Portland has launched a Speak Up webpage that encourages students to report incidents of discomfort to its public safety department.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
You don't even have to experience it. If you observe someone else experiencing an interaction of intolerance, then you go ahead and call the university's public safety department.
I just died a little inside.
Get your kids out of these overpriced totalitarian re-education centers.
Chicago's Morning Answer. Weekday mornings starting at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Control, this is QL1. Side hatch is secure.
QL1, this is Control. We copy, showing normal cabin pressure. Over.
Control, this is QL1. Do you like mortgages?
That's a negative, QL1. Over.
Control, do you like rockets?
That's affirmative, QL1. Over.
Do you like rocket mortgages?
I'm listening. Over.
Of course you are, Control. Everyone likes rockets. Control, Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience.
Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in. 3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
507. This man's got to be happy in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Jim Telemonte's Butler Bulldogs now on the verge of an NCAA tournament bid after a nice win over the weekend, Jim.
That was a big one, definitely. Necessary, I think, for the Dogs.
Right.
Thanks, Mike. And how about those Wildcats? Good for them. Northwest side of Chicago, Milwaukee Avenue is closed right now between Fullerton and Medill. That's just south of Fullerton. There's filming there until 3 this afternoon. At Western Avenue overpass been demolished. The southbound side of Western Avenue remains closed after that demolition between Roscoe and Belmont. There's some work on Oakton under the Adams Tollway in Elk Grove Village this morning. And there's some work scheduled to start today on I-57 in the Bourbonnais area. 57 will be down to one lane in each direction for about 2 weeks. Traffic is a service of Land's End. Land's End Business Outfitters. There's an old saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. It's true. Land's End makes it easier than ever to look your best and outfit your entire team, so you always make a great impression. Business Outfitters by Land's End. They supply confidence. Shop now at business.landsend.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Cloudy and breezy today, brief shower or two, high 59. Cloudy, breezy, and mild tonight, low 52. Cloudy, windy, and warmer tomorrow with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 67. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
47 at O'Hare, 48 along the lakefront, 43 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 5:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Market Overdrive with Carla Mina, a power hour of real estate trends, secrets, and advice. Heard every Saturday afternoon at 1.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So a lot of sports news. You heard Mike Scott mentioning a little hat tip to Chris Collins up at Evanston, Northwestern's first 20-win season ever, which will earn them a spot in the NIT. Not going to get their not going to get their first bid ever.
What, they beat Nebraska last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was for win
that
number
was huge.
20.
You know what? That's a huge win. You must be really proud of yourselves.
It's about the 20-win threshold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Amy, that's what it's about, Miss Hawkeye.
Iowa snob.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm a basketball snob.
And not everyone is become accustomed to having a Division I basketball program. Northwestern, we're just becoming accustomed to it after a long absence.
But back in the day, the NIT was better than the March Madness NCAA tournament. Just in case. I mean, you could...
Maybe back when you were in high school. But it's been a long, long time since the NIT was the premier tournament as compared to the NCAA.
And also, our good friend Ryan Baker over at Channel 2 broke the news about Lovie Smith going to be the head football coach at U of I.
Yeah, wow. Talk about Lovie must be really interested in a reclamation project. That program is awful.
I know, but he'll do a good job recruiting. But that's a question everybody
it's a
was
great
asking.
Profile.
Can he recruit? Because he's not used to recruiting. See, the NFL people want to go play for your team, and in college you have to ask, beg them to come to your school.
Well, I mean, I suppose he'll have a better quarterback situation than he had with the Bears.
Oh, hey,
So he has that to look forward to. So you got Lovie going to U of I, which is a big get for U of I. And now
Northwestern going to the NIT.
Well, yeah, assuming they don't run the table and win the Big Ten tournament, which of course that's not going to happen. But
so funny.
And so Lovie to U of I.
What?
Now they just need to get a Division I men's basketball coach.
To
return that program
what happened?
to its
I got
former
beat
glory.
by Penn State yesterday. Did you watch that game?
No.
Oh.
Why would I watch that game? They're terrible. It's a terrible team.
It was bad.
So U of I on the rise, the football program, Northwestern's men's basketball program on the rise, and Peyton Manning steps off the stage. He's interested in being an owner.
Is he really?
Yeah. No, seriously,
Good.
he's going to pull a Jordan, maybe buy the Tennessee Titans or something.
Really?
Yeah.
He would be great as an owner.
Well,
I've played golf with him twice. Well, I've been in the same tournament. He was in the foursome behind me one year and in the foursome in front of me.
That's not playing golf with him.
Well, but because you share time, though, at holes, because you know how you get backed up at scramble tournaments?
It's not playing golf.
No, he watched me, him and
you're embellishing
Vinatieri, the kicker guy. They would cheer me on and, come on, Jacobson, you could hit it better than that.
They don't know who you are.
No, they were calling me Jacobson.
You're
I
lying.
swear to
You're
God.
embellishing the story.
I never
it's
made out with him.
unnecessary.
I never made out with him. I can tell you that much.
Well,
but I did spend time
I
with
assume
him.
Edward James almost was in your foursome. No?
And Mario Lopez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's sports wrap up. Of course, it ends on a sour note.
Hey.
And what about your audition for Swedish Most Wanted or Swedes Got Talent or what are you
It's
auditioning
called
for?
Alt for Sverige. And they flew me out to New York Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit Airlines, no less.
Ooh.
Flying big, spending
Nice.
lots of money.
Reality TV show. Luke Ray. There.
It was fine. I like Spirit Airlines. It was nice. My first time on Spirit Airlines. Went out there, met with them for 45 minutes. They asked tough questions. They did their homework on me. They knew all the stuff about me.
What was a tough question they asked? For example.
Describe yourself in 3 words. I can't describe myself in 3 words. Folks, there's not enough.
Not enough adjectives in the English language.
I don't think you have time. So I describe myself as aggressive, friendly, and coachable. Don't even know where I got that, but yeah.
Was there did anybody have time for a response? Was there like a response to your suggestion about yourself? No.
No, but they knew about everything that I've done and left undone.
The good, bad, and the ugly?
Exactly.
Uh-huh. And so, what do you think? When do you hear?
I mean, I went in there, I'm expecting nothing, but if they're looking for the diva, I don't think I'm the diva because I'm too much of a tomboy because they have to fill, each role.
How do you know what slot they're looking for?
Because I have a feeling that they wanted me for a diva, but I wore my cowboy boots, and because I always wear my cowboy boots. I love my cowboy boots.
You and Ted Cruz.
Yeah, and I don't know. I went in there with nothing. I figure I have nothing to lose. I'll just be myself, have fun, and see what happens. So I was going to borrow that T-shirt of yours.
Infidel?
Well, no.
That would have been kind of the iconoclast role you could have played.
No, the one when you lived in Sweden or visited Sweden.
I have a jacket, Frihetsfronten.
Frihetsfronten.
Freedom Front, which is a libertarian anarchist group. So that would have been
maybe with one of
edgy.
The producers that probably would have worked with him. He seemed a little edgy. He seemed a little libertarian. He liked Rand Paul, and so we did talk about politics for a lot because they just could not believe they're from Sweden. These people that interviewed me could not believe the Trump phenomena. We thought it was a joke too. This is really happening.
Yeah.
Said, oh yeah, he's not dropping out. He's not going anywhere. So start telling your friends in Sweden that that's what's going to happen.
Being ridiculed by the Swedes.
Yeah, they said that all of Europe's laughing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that they did not
all
think...
of Europe. Yeah, exactly. All of Europe. And so,
then I take off my clothes. No, I'm totally kidding. I didn't take off my clothes. Oh, yeah. No, they did a few headshots and then videotape.
What about did you say, for example, that your you're there to plot the overthrow of the king.
Well, I asked, is there any possibility I could be a Swedish princess? Because
Right.
every girl dreams of being a Swedish princess.
Not
I
just
mean,
limited to girls.
Okay, Dan. And I said, I'll do a DNA test. I'll give you blood, and you have to do that. Submit a DNA test, not blood, but you can give a hair sample, and then they just see if you're related to anyone famous in Sweden. Or I might be related to a notorious murderer, because that's happened on their show in season 2, I guess. They had somebody who their uncle was a mass murderer, and they chose not to tell the family that for good reason, and then the family left Sweden because they wanted to leave the past behind them.
And when do you find out?
Not until mid-April.
Okay.
So.
Well, we'll keep everyone updated on...
Allt för Sverige.
Yeah, sure. Gambit into Swedish reality TV. Who knows where that could go?
I mean, really, Norwegian TV next, maybe. Who knows?
You could easily. I could see you conquering all of Scandinavia. It's like that game Diplomacy, just kind of one country at a time.
I did walk in with the Swedish fish, though. They loved it.
And Bjorn Borg, as I suggested.
I couldn't find Bjorn. Couldn't find him.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was a mistake. All right. Well, over the weekend, yesterday, actually, about noon, the news came over the transom that First Lady Nancy Reagan had passed away. So the response was swift. I thought immediately, because of the nature of the relationship, that, okay, Nancy and Ronnie are reunited for eternity. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
That's I mean, essentially was the signature couple, particularly in politics, for the better part of my life. And
they were our heroes. I mean, we grew up with them. She was our first lady. If anybody grew up in the 80s, late 90s, they were our romantic couple. You didn't have to go see a movie, Dan. You could just watch them together at any state dinner, at any event, and you could just feel the love between them.
Well, and you go back and look at some of the old clips. Brett Baer had a nice special on Fox News Channel yesterday afternoon about it, and I was reviewing some of the old interviews that Nancy Reagan gave. This one, 2007, with Larry King, who was a pretty good friend of hers. This is 2007, so this is 3 years after President Reagan's death, and Nancy talking about Larry King and how much she missed her husband.
It was true. We didn't like to be apart. We just didn't like it.
No, he writes repeatedly that she's gone overnight. I'm lost.
I know. And I remember one country that we went to. I don't remember what country it was, but they put us in separate bedrooms. Well, Ronnie was just having a fit. I don't know if they removed us or what, but we didn't like to be apart.
Ever miss him? I mean, not ever miss him. How much do you miss him?
Ronnie?
How long has it been now? I can't remember. It seems like yesterday.
I know. To you, maybe. No, there are people who told me that it gets much easier. Well, maybe for them, but not for me. I miss him more now than I ever did.
That was 3 years after his passing,
trying to make me cry?
Well,
and it was even hard during his last years of life, when suffering from Alzheimer's, when he couldn't remember trips that they took, and he couldn't remember her name. She said that was also just devastating for her.
Well, for those interested who have not, there's a great bio on Nancy Reagan by Michael Deaver called Nancy. Michael Deaver, Deputy Chief of Staff to President Reagan, that really lays it out and really gives you a look at Nancy that wasn't available at the time because the Washington press corps was fairly hostile to the Reagans, including Nancy, and early on, and we'll get to a 60 Minutes interview at the end of the first year of the Reagan presidency in a bit. But Deaver lays it out, and basically the thesis is Nancy Reagan did everything out of love for her husband and a desire to protect him and help him advance what he was trying to do as president of the United States. And even before he was president of the United States, of course. But
she convinced him to talk to Gorbachev. She tried to lighten the situation, and honey, why don't you do that? She tried to advise him on certain things.
Well, and the Deaver bio presents a more complete picture than the kind of just say no caricature that the left has tried to portray of Nancy Reagan, kind of the this Ice Queen, Dragon Lady type who
Yeah, who wanted to come in and redecorate the White House and all this stuff. But the White House needed redecorating.
Well,
and also people are taking her in task for hiring an astrologist to help protect her husband.
Yeah, well, that's a little weird. I
No,
agree
it's
with
not.
that.
It was a time when, remember, there was an assassination attempt on the Pope, obviously one on her husband, one on John Lennon, and she was worried, and she wanted to see where the stars lined up, how she could keep her husband safe.
That's the part. That's
well,
the problem.
that's not. She
The
was
astrology.
desperate. She was desperate. I didn't.
That's
I don't
that's bizarre and weird and no. But one thing that give Nancy Reagan a great credit for,
Mhm.
really perhaps saved the nation. She brought booze back into the White House after our long national nightmare of Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was a teetotaler. No booze in the White House. Booze came back to the White House. It became fun again. It reminds me of this piece that Neil Freeman wrote in the Wall Street Journal about Bill Buckley. And this is kind of the same. And, of course, they were contemporaries, Reagan and Buckley. He made being conservative cool for Reagan kids like myself or Marco Rubio. He talks about it all the time. And he made it fun, too. They were a cool, fun, authentic couple. And
they had celebrity friends who would go in their white limousines to the White House and have parties at the White House.
yeah, I mean, how about... and Nancy
And
was...
there, some of their friends were very liberal, but that was okay.
And Nancy was a little bit more fun than she gets credit for as well. How about Nancy Reagan in 1988 at Bob Hope's 85th birthday
Oh, I don't
singing...
Oh, she sang?
Singing Thanks for the Memories.
Thanks for the memory of happiness and heart, of humor, sweet and tart, of jokes that bite and shed some light, even when they smart. We thank you so much.
I didn't say she was a great singer, but,
Well, no,
it was fun that she got involved.
And speaking of singing, when she went to Latin, she's from Chicago. She grew up in Chicago in Streeterville on, East Delaware Street. But she went to Latin High School, graduated in 1939. In her senior year, she starred in the play First Lady. Isn't
Wow.
that crazy? Isn't that prophetic?
Indeed.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Then she came back to Chicago, and guess where she worked in? Not the candy counter at Weebolt's. No, she worked at Marshall Fields. Huh? Get yourself a green bag and ditch the winter coat today because it's going to be very warm. 49 degrees right now, going up to a high of 59 degrees. We do have a brief shower in the afternoon. And then tomorrow, cloudy, windy. Wow, get this, highs in the upper 60s. Here's Jim Talamonte. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. Things look great right now on the expressways and tollways. You can expect some heavy traffic shortly, though, at O'Hare on westbound 190. It is Monday morning. Inbound Ryan getting just a little heavy approaching downtown. Same goes the Bishop Ford approaching the Rod. Otherwise, the expressways are great right now. There are a couple of significant closures on the north side. Southbound Western Avenue remains closed. Roscoe to Belmont after that intersection demolition, or the overpass demolition there. The rest of that intersection is reopened. Milwaukee Avenue is closed from Fullerton south to Medill for filming until 3 o'clock this afternoon. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Turnkey IT is a name you've come to know and trust on AM 560. Turnkey IT provides small businesses with IT resources normally reserved for Fortune 500 companies. They provide world-class network installations and ongoing IT support for fixed monthly rates based on the size of your network. In fact, Turnkey IT has a program that fits the needs of your business. Turnkey IT understands that your business matters and that keeping you focused on it makes all the difference in the world. Best of all, their service can save you time and money. Turnkey IT can give you the peace of mind that backups are being executed, email is always available, files are secure, and you've got someone to call when you need help. Turnkey IT has people who are professional, friendly, on time, and a live person even answers the phone 24 hours a day. So visit turnkey.pro today for a plan that fits your needs. That's turnkey.pro.
If medications haven't helped you treat your depression, why haven't you tried TMS therapy offered by Theramind? Now there is a way to successfully treat your depression without the need for meds and their harmful side effects. TMS therapy is covered by most insurance, including Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and Medicare. Don't continue to suffer needlessly. Call Theramind. Don't wait. Call Theramind now. 847-562-5868. The single greatest advancement to date in treating depression. depression is TMS. It's an FDA-cleared, non-drug, safe, and effective treatment. TMS has already changed the lives of over 50,000 patients. Why not you? Visit TMSmind.com. Depression can be beaten, and without drugs. Call Theramind today, 847-562-5868, or get more info at TMSmind.com. That's Theramind at 847-562-5868 or online at TMSmind.com.
Did you know color is vital to your health? I'm talking about the color of the food you eat. A colorful diet is a part of staying well because many nutrients are color. Eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables provides your body with the diverse chemistry it needs to heal itself and stay well. Now ask yourself, how many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day. My name is Dr. Howard. I've recommended Balance of Nature for over 15 years because of the excellent results I see in my patients.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Now, the Alpha and Omega First Ladies. We were talking about Nancy Reagan. Now, Hillary Clinton. She's running for president, don't you know?
Uh-huh. Bill Clinton could become the first lady.
Oh, yes, he could. He really could.
I had explained that to my kids. Like, well, I don't understand how it works. And he wouldn't be a first lady. He'd be the first man.
Well, he could be the first lady in this day and age. I mean,
Yeah,
if he wanted to be.
They shouldn't don't change the title. Be first lady, own it. Be a man as the first lady.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've decided that he's not going to change his name or the title.
Hillary Clinton clearly wears the pantsuit in that family, and she a little bit more problems with her story on the email matter. It came up in last night's debate in Flint, Michigan, sponsored by Pravda, between Sanders and Hillary Clinton, and we'll get to that. But over the weekend, Washington Post reporting Hillary Clinton wrote 104 emails that she sent using her private server while Secretary of State that the government says contained classified information. 104 emails she wrote. The finding is the first accounting of Hillary's personal role in placing information now considered sensitive into insecure email during her tenure as a Secretary of State. And now you just heard that story.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have Hillary interviewed by John Harwood on MSNBC over the weekend. Listen to this.
I asked. Nobody told me to. I said, make them all public.
Mm-hmm.
I've been the most transparent public official in modern times, as far as I know.
The most transparent elected official, modern times. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the Clintonian kicker qualifier. As far as I know, she don't know much.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
You've heard of living trusts and how they can help protect your assets, but you may not know if a living trust is right for you, or maybe you have questions about creating your own living trust. The fact is, almost everyone can benefit from a living trust, which can protect your assets from the court system and your loved ones from unnecessary expense and inconvenience. Learn more at a free seminar Monday, March 14th. Estate planning attorney Robert Sapolis will explain how to create your living trust, estate planning under the new tax laws, why a will does not avoid probate, and more. Have your estate planning and living trust questions answered absolutely free. Don't miss this important seminar Monday, March 14th at 6:30 p.m. at Papa Joe's Restaurant, 145th and LaGrange Road in Orland Park. The seminar is free and a complimentary dinner is served, but you must make a reservation now. Call 708-478-1400. That's 708-478-1400. Again, 708-478-1400.
ChicagoRadioDeals.com saves you money so you'll have room for improvement. Home improvement. The Grout Medic is offering shower touch-ups for only $110 to make your shower and tub area look like new again. It is a steam cleaning and sanitizing process on all of your surfaces. The Grout Medic will reseal your grout, hand buff the tiles, and replace the caulk. It's a $250 retail value, and wait until you see the before and after results. It is a picture you can post on your Instagram. Also from the Grout Medic is a clean and color seal floor cleaning. This includes steam cleaning your grout, washing tiles and applying a color sealer to match. Normally retails $250, only $110 on CRD. So make your way to ChicagoRadioDeals.com, where they offer quality items at huge savings on home improvements such as duct cleaning, dryer vent cleaning, and more. Find it all at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Ted Cruz has a Super Tuesday. Can he carry it into Michigan tomorrow? And is Marco Rubio's campaign over? We'll have that at 5:35.
But he won Puerto Rico. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Some clouds and 45 degrees, wind south at 11. This morning, a California congressman is set to announce that Navy SEALs do not have enough combat rifles to go around. And when SEALs return home, they have to hand off rifles to other commandos shipping out. Republican Representative Duncan Hunter, a former Marine, has been contacted by SEALs about the problem, and he will have a press conference later today. The military says they're looking into that issue. Reverend Billy Graham says his friendship of more than 50 years with Nancy and Ronald Reagan was greatly valued. Nancy Reagan died Sunday at her Los Angeles home of congestive heart failure. Those closest to Nancy Reagan, like John Harrington, say she was one of a kind.
Actually, anyone in public office would be very blessed to have such a woman as their helpmate.
During Reagan's acting career, she was paired with her husband, Ronald, in the movie Hellcats of the Navy in 1957.
The Admiral told me not to tell.
The Admiral should have told me not to worry.
I thought we'd settled all that about you and me.
It won't stay settled, Case. Not until you tell me you stopped caring.
Nancy Reagan was 94. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders says he'd love to run against Donald Trump. Last night's Flint, Michigan Democrat debate, Sanders says Sanders versus Trump sounds a lot better than Clinton versus Trump.
If you are talking about the Wall Street bailout, where some of your friends destroyed this economy, excuse me, I'm talking.
Let him sprung.
Clinton says she's gotten more votes than Trump in the primaries and fought back against Sanders' attacks on her being in the pocket of Wall Street financiers. And she predicted that Trump's bigotry and bullying are not going to wear well in a general campaign. Iraqi officials say Sunday's suicide attack north of Baghdad has claimed 61 lives. Meantime, at least 11 have been killed in a suicide bombing at the entrance to a courtroom in northwest Pakistan today. There's a new leader at a suburban Des Plaines church following the removal of a Catholic priest. Chicago Archbishop Blaise Cupich announcing over the weekend Reverend Esquiel Sanchez has been assigned rector to the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And Governor State University trustees unanimously approve a tuition freeze for the suburban Chicago campus for the upcoming academic year. Trustees approve the tuition freeze and renew their pledge to front funds for the school's monetary award program. The school has covered $3 million in MAP funding for more than 1,900 students this academic year amid Illinois' ongoing budget standoff. Chicago sports, we're hearing Lovie Smith is set to become the new head football coach at the University of Illinois. Red Wings fell to the Blackhawks 4-1. Strong effort in goal by Corey Crawford. College hoops, Penn State topped the Fighting Illini. Northwestern over Nebraska. Major League Baseball found the White Sox with a spring win over San Diego, and Arizona beat the Cubs. The news service of InvisibleFence.com. Protect your pets with Invisible Fence brand. Keep them in the yard, away from the fireplace, and off the furniture. Invisible Fence brand has the answer to training your pets at InvisibleFence.com. Invisible Fence brand can install in any weather, rain or snow. Visit InvisibleFence.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Even after a win in Nevada, Mike Gallagher isn't ready to call Trump the nominee.
The establishment, make no mistake, these guys do not like Donald Trump. They do not like Ted Cruz. But these guys are saying it looks like it's going to be Trump. You're not going to be able to stop Trump. And I have to confess, I don't see that right now. And I wonder if that's not a bit of a game that they're playing. because there's a lot of gamesmanship, let's face it.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Remodel your kitchen or bath with Galaxy and get free installation, free design, and free financing. Call Galaxy at 773-783-8300 or schedule online at galaxyhome.com.
Build business with Chamber 630, one of the largest business organizations in DuPage County. Marketing your business and connecting clients is their priority. Visit chamber630.com or call 630-968-4050 to join today.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
It is an event so big and so historic, you won't want to miss it. 4 of the brightest and intelligent names in conservative talk radio on one stage, for one night only, on Monday, March 21st in Minneapolis. Join Mike Gallagher, Dennis Prager, Michael Medved, and Hugh Hewitt for one huge night of discussion, moderated by Hot Air's Ed Morrissey. The upcoming days and months for our country are critical, so let's talk about it together on Monday, March 21st in Minneapolis. For tickets, visit am1280thepatriot.com.
5:36. Let's get an update on the roads now in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. At O'Hare, traffic is getting heavy on this Monday morning. It's slow going on westbound 190 from River Road to the terminal area at the airport. Kennedy itself still looking good, but it is getting a bit heavy past Sayre. Inbound Ryan has a 3-minute delay from Cermak to downtown. Bishop Ford, a 1 or 2-minute delay from past 103rd to the merge. The other expressways and tollways are looking good right now. On Chicago's northwest side, Milwaukee Avenue is closed from Fullerton south to Medill for filming until 3 this afternoon. Traffic is a service of ChicagolandJiffyLube.com. You don't have to make an appointment at Jiffy Lube. They offer more than just oil changes. So if you need a high-quality oil change, wiper blades, or any other preventive maintenance, Jiffy Lube has you covered. For more details and big savings on your service, visit ChicagolandJiffyLube.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Jim is in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center, and Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy and breezy today, a brief shower, maybe 2, high 59, breezy and mild overnight, low of 52, cloudy, windy, warmer tomorrow, high 67. Currently in Chicago, we have 47 at O'Hare, 48 along Chicago's lakefront. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by RadioPlumbingDeals.com. Have a plumbing problem? Get the best plumbers in Chicagoland and massive discounts at RadioPlumbingDeals.com.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So Ted Cruz had a Super Saturday. Question is, can he parlay it into a surprise victory in Michigan tomorrow night?
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi, probably not possible. Although it is interesting, he closed in Louisiana. He closed in Kentucky, even though he lost those contests to Trump.
And he closed in Maine, and Donald Trump said it's because Maine is close to Canada. Oh, thanks. Take your defeat lightly.
That was a funny line. And so Trump 384 delegates, Cruz 300 delegates, Rubio 151 delegates. Rubio's done.
No. Didn't you hear El Pueblo Unido Jamás Será Vencido? They're still chanting that in Puerto Rico because he killed it in PR. Remember on Friday I said I'll call my kid's uncle and see who's going to win or who's projected to win, and of course they nailed it. It was Marco Rubio. He won by 74%. So I mean, I know it's 20 delegates. And then also, too, they can't vote in the general election, only in the primaries. But still, I thought that was start swinging things his way, maybe? No? He might, no?
No.
I'm upset because he's my candidate and he's not coming to Illinois. John Kasich will be in Palatine on Wednesday. Donald Trump is speaking at the UIC on Wednesday. Then Ted Cruz is doing your event on Friday. And Marco Rubio said he doesn't have time. Well, he didn't say his time doesn't have time, but he's not coming here at all.
Yeah, I don't know how to break it to you.
Can you slowly get me into this? Because I realized driving here this morning that it might be over. But what if he wins Florida? Just what if?
Well, then you may have a chance at a broker convention. I mean,
Okay.
I know this is, I mean, it's just fascinating to listen to John Kasich and Marco Rubio and all the pundits, frankly, now, too, because they are hoping for that to come to pass as well.
Yeah, they want to
This
be
idea of
spoilers.
a broker convention, so that requires essentially Rubio to win Florida. Although he said, Rubio still, for him, second is the new first, or third or fourth is the new first, because he said he's not dropping out even if he loses Florida. The campaign over the weekend, even suggesting that a second place finish doesn't put him out of the race. Because he still has 151 delegates, and he'll pick up a lot more along the way if he stays in states that distribute them proportionally. Maybe win a couple of caucuses here and there. I don't know. Maybe we could acquire some more territories that he could
might
win
help.
between now and the end of this cycle.
Do you know why he won Puerto Rico? He's the only one who went to Puerto Rico. He visited last week, and that helped a lot.
Well, that's his only path at this point. Really, is the broker convention. And the more interesting story over the weekend is Ted Cruz surprising in Maine.
Mm-hmm.
That was a surprise. Kansas. It was certainly a surprise based on the polling, but based on the demographics of Kansas and a closed primary, that set up pretty well for Ted Cruz. And it is worth noting this closed versus open primary
Yeah, that's in Maine and in Kansas, right? They've closed primaries.
where only Republicans can vote. And registered Republicans, there's no, kind of
independence.
There's no show up and pick your poison kind of dynamic. And in 5 of the 7 contests of the 20 that have been played out so far, 5 of the 7 have been closed primaries. Donald Trump has lost 5 of them. So this closed versus open there seems to be a growing body of evidence that matters. I don't know if it matters to people 8 days from now who go to the polls in Illinois, but it seems to matter in terms of the dynamics of this race. And again, Donald Trump was up 15 points, roughly, the Real Clear Politics average in Louisiana. He ends up winning by 4. He was up substantially in Kentucky. He ends up winning by a few points as well. And actually what happened, you saw voters shed Marco Rubio in Louisiana and Kentucky and go to Ted Cruz. That's what really happened. It seems to me that coming out of Thursday night's debate, Marco Rubio may have created some doubt about Donald Trump and their exchanges, but it seems like he also did himself a disservice because Saturday was a bad day for Marco Rubio. It really did effectively put him out of the race.
He had a string of third-place finishes, and then when you look at Donald Trump.
Or 4th.
Well, one place he came, or a tie for 3rd with Kasich, but back to Donald Trump. I mean, he underperformed, Dan, as you just mentioned, in all the polls, and I think that's because of the Mitt Romney effect.
No. If anything, the Mitt Romney effect is booing Trump. The response, if I was Ted Cruz, I would ask Bob Dole to please make a speech sometime between now and next Tuesday that says anybody but Cruz. More so than most election cycles, kind of endorsements or even endorsements mean very little. Brownback, the governor, Pat Roberts, the senator, both endorsed Marco Rubio. He had a bunch of endorsements in Kansas in advance of the primary on Saturday. Obviously, they don't mean anything. It's the old coattail effect, which is to say very few people actually have coattails. But the negative endorsements, particularly from Beltway elite types, like what Romney did, I think it's difficult to say that had a material impact because it wasn't really Trump voters, with the exception of Kansas, that moved to Cruz. It was Rubio voters in places like Kentucky and Louisiana. It seems pretty clear from the polling going in and from the exit polling. Philip Bump in the Washington Post had a good write-up on this very dynamic over the weekend. So how does that portend for Michigan tomorrow, Mississippi tomorrow, where Donald Trump enjoys, again, double-digit leads in the kind of mid-teens? We'll have to see. This is the time right now. And it's interesting, over the weekend, you also heard Ted Cruz opening 10 offices in Florida. Not because he believes he can win Florida, but because he wants to keep Marco Rubio from closing and winning Florida and effectively knock Marco Rubio out of the race. Best thing that could happen, Rubio goes and then Kasich goes in Ohio for Ted Cruz, so it's a one-on-one race, which is what he said he wants. The other thing that happened for Cruz over the weekend, he wins the CPAC poll, Conservative Political Action Conference. He showed up. Rubio showed up. Donald Trump did not.
Well, he was scheduled, but he said he wanted to campaign in Kansas, so he dropped out at the last minute.
And so here's Ted Cruz on this prospect of a brokered convention and what that could mean for the party.
Sean, you are exactly right. Anytime you hear someone talking about a brokered convention, it is the Washington establishment in a fevered frenzy. They're really frustrated because all of their chosen candidates, all of the golden children, the voters keep rejecting.
Well, that's it. And so I think it's interesting that Cruz is as skeptical of a brokered convention as is Donald Trump, and for the same reason, that they anticipate if it went to that there would be a movement to slot somebody in that has many fewer delegates than Trump or Cruz, if any delegates. And that would essentially mean the end of the Republican Party, at least for this cycle. Cruz also made a specific appeal to voters and supporters of other candidates who no longer exist, and even one or two in the race that still do exist on paper only.
And if you don't want Donald to be our nominee, then I ask you, come join us. We welcome you on our team. We are building a broad and welcoming coalition of lovers of liberty who believe in the Constitution.
So you ready to come over to the Cruz team now that Rubio's done?
Can we wait until a week from tomorrow, or is time
it's too late?
It's too late?
It'd be too late. 312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, Turnkey.pro text line. Rubio supporters, you ready to come over to Ted Cruz as the means to stop Donald Trump?
Don't make me do this.
Or Rubio supporters, are you going to go to Donald Trump? I mean, if Rubio loses Florida, and whether he stays in or he doesn't, he's obviously out of the race. If he loses Florida, where are you going to go if you're a Rubio supporter? It's kind of be interesting. I'm not suggesting that they'll all go to Ted Cruz.
No, because
will some go to Trump?
Got to tell you, my sister, big Rubio fan. Yesterday, she had the conversation with me that she's moving over to Trump.
Really?
And I said,
what's her
why?
what's
Not
her
Ted
basis?
Cruz. She just said he's going to win, and he tells it like it is, and that's what I want to hear. And I think he's going to get the job done. I'm like, okay. Do you think this might all be an act or a reality TV show? Because there's a new ad out. Did you see it? Where it shows entertainer, leader, entertainer, and they show the Kardashians, and they show Ronald Reagan, then they show another like Kanye West, entertainer, leader, and then they show Donald Trump with those goofy faces he makes and says, "Is this really a leader?" And I thought it was more effective ad. But she said that he's going to win. She wants to be behind the winner and make sure that we have Republican Supreme Court justices, because 3 of them are going to be named under the new president, and that was her reasoning.
Well,
she believes Trump can beat Hillary. Ted Cruz can't beat Hillary.
It's interesting because Donald Trump made the same exact argument about Supreme Court justices in terms of bringing people over. So apparently he was persuasive to
my sister.
Your sister.
That means that automatically they are going to appoint very, very, very liberal judges. And all of this time that the Republicans are fighting, saying that we don't want President Obama to appoint the judge, it's not going to matter, because the new president, who would be a Democrat, will appoint the judge, so it no longer matters. And you're probably talking about, because it just seems to be, the appointment of 3, 4, or 5 Supreme Court judges. And you got to start thinking about that, folks, because anybody that does a third party, that's what it's going to mean. Very simple. It guarantees, 100% guarantees the election of the Democrat.
Yeah, so Trump obviously making the argument about Supreme Court justices, but in the context of those never-Trumpers, if you will, trying to orchestrate a third-party independent conservative candidate.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Forecast for today, cloudy, breezy with a brief shower or two, a high near 60 degrees. And then tonight, cloudy, breezy, and mild, a high in the 50s. And tomorrow, even warmer, folks. It's going to be cloudy, windy, a high near 70 degrees. Wow. Anything wowing folks on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
It's kind of predictable right now, Amy. At O'Hare, it's heavy. It's Monday morning, and traffic is stop and go on westbound 190 from the Kennedy to the terminal area at O'Hare, and it's getting heavy on the outbound Kennedy past the junction. Edens is fine. No problems to report yet on the Eisenhower. Inbound Stevenson, slow Pulaski to Kedzie. You've got about a 1-minute delay. Inbound Ryan has a 4-minute delay coming into downtown. Bishop Ford, about a 4-minute delay for 103rd to the merge. Tollways are good. On Chicago's northwest side, Milwaukee Avenue is closed from Fullerton south to Medill for filming until 3 this afternoon. I'm Jim Talamonte, the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. So you get yourself one of those blood tests with all the poking and prodding. They're always looking for some kind of bad news. Most blood tests these days are very lacking, only screening you for the big, bad, and ugly diseases, and with you never really getting the good news, or even knowing what to do with the not-so-good news. So let me tell you about our dirt cheap comprehensive blood test. First of all, we'll be testing a wide variety of different health factors, and not just the ugly few. And then we're going to sit down with you and strategize with all the we learned from your blood test findings. And I promise that you're going to know more about what you can do to help improve your health using a more natural, common sense approach. And for over 33 years, we've been very successful at setting people free from their toxic medications. It's our dirt cheap comprehensive blood test. Call 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. That's 800-794-1855. Be sure to tune into Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
I'm Dan Proft with an Upstream Idea brought to you by the Illinois Policy Institute. 27. Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent. So keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
AM 560, The Answer.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath.
Yeah, we're watching the video right now. Lady Gaga was there at the 16th annual Polar Plunge, and the entire cast and crew from Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med. Al Roker was there. He's a little bit nicer after he's dropped 200 pounds.
He didn't drop a deuce in his pants again like he did previously, right?
What do you mean he dropped a deuce?
Remember he talked about that, dropping a deuce in his pants, like
he soiled himself.
Yeah, on a visit to the White House when he was having problems after his gastric bypass surgery or something. Yeah, it's disgusting.
That is disgusting. But you know what? Thanks for bringing it up.
Sure.
But yesterday was a great event, and I want to thank the Amish texter, Tom. He and his son, Trent, who has special needs, they drove in from Huntley to watch it, and his son Trent had medals that he's won in the Special Olympics, and my kids thought that was so great. And
yeah, they were there to cheer on Lady Gaga.
Yeah, no, they were on to cheer on this Lady Gaga.
Oh,
so they went down with us when we went in the water. And
what did you do?
Okay. Well, I didn't go in far. I was cold. Even though it was warm out, I went into my knees. Sorry. But we raised a lot of money, and thank you to everyone. Kristen McQuarrie donated, Tom Serafin did, to my plunge. And thanks, Dan. I know your name's on this list somewhere.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
CertaPro are the experts in exterior painting, but now is the perfect time to paint your interior. Refresh and renew your living space and escape the winter doldrums. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I've used CertaPro several times to paint my home. They're fast, efficient, clean, so quiet I didn't even know they were there. CertaPro is easy to work with. Your life won't be disrupted by messy, inconsiderate contractors. They will move the furniture, and when they finish, they will move it back. With their color specialist, CertaPro takes the stress out of choosing the perfect color. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life. Call CertaPro today at 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's Certa with a C. And book your winter painting project. Schedule your free estimate today. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
What if you could get the very best food from all around the country with the guaranteed lowest prices? Oh, and what if it's all shipped directly to your door absolutely free? Well, rejoice, food lovers. DirectEats.com is here. Direct Eats gives us every consumer the freedom to find the best food at the best prices based on their diet, taste, or needs. That's because at DirectEats.com, the whole country is your supermarket. There's no membership fees, so give it a try. Just go to DirectEats.com and place your order today. DirectEats.com is the largest online natural and organic superstore. From locally made barbecue sauces to an array of nut-free, paleo, gluten-free, or anything and everything in between, the options go on and on. At Direct Eats, they have over 20,000 food products at the guaranteed lowest prices, and they ship them absolutely free right to your door. There's no membership fee, so why not get started on your next food adventure? Stop by DirectEats.com today. That's DirectEats.com.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you wanted to purchase a home after filing bankruptcy or when your home was foreclosed, you called me and I helped you. When you tried to purchase a home you couldn't afford, you called me and I advised you to purchase a less expensive home. If you want to talk with me about a mortgage, please give me a call at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Email David at PERLDavid.com. That's David at PERLDavid.com. Or visit my website, am560david.com. 312-751-1333. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186. PearlMortgage.com licensing.
If medications haven't helped you treat your depression, why haven't you tried TMS therapy offered by Theramind? Now there is a way to successfully treat your depression without the need for meds and their harmful side effects. TMS therapy is covered by most insurance, including Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and Medicare. Don't continue to suffer needlessly. Call Theramind. Don't wait. Call Theramind now. 847-562-5868. The single greatest advancement to date in treating depression is TMS. It's an FDA-cleared, non-drug, safe, and effective treatment. TMS has already changed the lives of over 50,000 patients. Why not you? Visit TMSmind.com. Depression can be beaten, and without drugs. Call Theramind today, 847-562-5868, or get more info at TMSmind.com. That's Theramind at 847-562-5868, or online at TMSmind.com.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Senator Jim Webb, former Democrat presidential candidate, said he will not vote for Hillary. He might vote for Trump at 6:06.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say good Monday morning to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a state representative is accused of buying of votes. We'll hear from the accuser in our next hour. Chicago High School remembers former First Lady Nancy Reagan. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Bernie Sanders wins another state, Maine.
It is too late for establishment politics and establishment economics.
He got 64% of the vote, and he squared off with Hillary Clinton last night. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, Sanders turned up the heat on Clinton during a feisty
I'll
debate,
tell you.
challenging her economic credentials and suggesting her gun control stand would ban guns in America. The CNN debate took place in Flint, Michigan, which has suffered a water crisis. On that issue, the candidates agreed.
President Sanders would fire anybody who knew about what was happening and did not act appropriately.
Clinton said she would order a full investigation into the crisis.
Yes, people should be fired. How far up it went, I don't know. But as far as it goes, they should be relieved.
Clinton has a 20-point lead over Sanders in Michigan, which holds its primary tomorrow. Dave.
Rachel Marco Rubio gets his second win, taking the Puerto Rico primary with 74% of the vote, winning all 23 delegates, though he's still far back of Donald Trump.
We cannot win if we nominate someone that a third of our party rejects.
That's Rubio rallying in Idaho, one of 4 states holding contest tomorrow.
If the results of Super Saturday are any indication, it's the establishment candidate that's got the problem, because fully 3/4 of people in Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Maine voted for anti-establishment candidates. Rubio's going to spend most of the next week here in Florida because, by most accounts, if he loses here, it's probably over for him.
Fox's John Roberts. Florida's primary is March 15th, same day as Ohio's. John Kasich says that'll be big.
Even though I have been largely ignored by the national media up till now, Ohio will be a game changer.
Funeral arrangements haven't been set yet for Nancy Reagan, who died yesterday at age 94.
We do know the public will be allowed to mourn the former First Lady here at the Reagan Library, just like they did her husband nearly 12 years ago. Hard to believe it's been that long. Then she will be laid to rest next to him overlooking the valley here in Simi Valley.
That's Fox's Adam Housley. Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Some clouds, 45 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. This morning, United Airlines CEO Carlos Munoz says he'll return to work 2 months after receiving a new heart. Munoz announced over the weekend he'll be back on the job a week from today. The 57-year-old had a heart transplant in early January after suffering a heart attack last October. Munoz, you may recall, headed the rail freight operator CSX before taking over at United in September. Elected officials and community leaders in Illinois remembering former First Lady Nancy Reagan for her strength and anti-drug advocacy work. Reagan died at her home in Los Angeles on Sunday. She was 94, and a Chicago high school is remembering the former First Lady. Nancy Reagan, as a young girl, graduated from the Latin School for Girls on Chicago's Near North Side in 1939. State Representative Ken Duncan's campaign is under fire over allegations of vote fraud. Alderman Pat Dowell and Secretary of State Jesse White held a press conference yesterday accusing the Chicago Democrat of buying votes in the upcoming primary.
We cannot have the sanctity of voting broken by a desperate and unethical candidate who is seeking to do everything that he can to win an election.
Dowell provided video evidence, she says, that claimed undercover volunteers received money to cast ballots for the incumbent, Duncan. Authorities are investigating after a man robbed a bank on the Northwest Side. The suspect implied he had a weapon and then took off with an undisclosed amount of money from the TCF Bank branch. A county health department in central Illinois says it will close one of its main offices because of the state's ongoing budget impasse. The Mattoon Journal-Gazette this morning reports Coles County Health Department planning to close its Mattoon office on Tuesday. Its main office in Charleston will remain open. Chicago sports, Lovie Smith expected to become the new head football coach at Illinois. Smith replacing the fired Bill Cubitt. Blackhawks winners over Detroit 4-1 behind a strong effort in net from Corey Crawford. College hoops, Penn State over the Fighting Illini in double overtime. 20-win season for the Northwestern Wildcats. They beat Nebraska 65-54. Spring training baseball, Sox beat San Diego. Arizona beat the Cubs. And the news, a service of InvisibleFence.com. Protect your pets with Invisible Fence brand. Keep them in the yard, away from the fireplace, and off the furniture. Invisible Fence brand has the answer to training your pets at InvisibleFence.com. Invisible Fence brand can install in any weather, rain or snow. Visit InvisibleFence.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
America right now is better off than it's ever been. Man, if I thought that, I wouldn't fight.
The Joe Walsh Show.
52% of young people would do away with the First Amendment. We have people being fined and threatened with jail time for exercising their religious freedom. Yes, I am a pessimist, but that's why I fight.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a free domain with website from GoDaddy.com, starting at $1 a month. Annual purchase of website builder required. Price valid first year only. See website for details.
If you want to work until you drop, reduce your standard of living in retirement, or lose more of your hard-earned money in the stock market, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to generate a steady, predictable income, I'm talking real wealth and financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. A free report is now available that reveals the money-making secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. It reveals how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your money in the Wall Street casino. To get your free special report, visit bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com.
6:06 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Very latest this morning on The Commute with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the outbound Kennedy, traffic is jammed solid from Montrose to Bryn Mawr, where there's a crash blocking 2 left lanes. It's 36 minutes downtown to O'Hare, and you can tack on additional delays on westbound 190 from the Kennedy to the terminal area at the airport. Inbound, it's slow. The River Road toll to Foster, that's about a 3-minute delay. The Edens is still fine. Inbound Eisenhower, slow 17th Avenue to 1st Avenue. 31 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 29. Stevenson, 37 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. The Rhine is 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 20 minutes, 80-94 to the Rhine. The tollways still look good. Traffic is a service of Business Outfitters by Land's End. There's an old saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. It's true, Land's End makes it easier than ever to look your best and outfit your entire team, so you always make a great impression. Business Outfitters by Land's End. They supply confidence. Shop now at business.landsend.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Holly Holdren.
Cloudy and breezy today, brief shower or two, high 59. Cloudy, breezy, and mild tonight, low 52. Cloudy, windy, and warmer tomorrow with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 67. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently rather cloudy in the area. We have 47 degrees at O'Hare, 48 along Chicago's lakefront. Next news coming up at 6:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Westmont Economic Development. Choose Westmont.com to develop, relocate, or expand your business.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Say yes to your life. And when it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
And I want to congratulate Ted on Maine and on Kansas, and he should do well in Maine because it's very close to Canada, let's face it. I mean...
Well, if you are talking about the Wall Street bailout, where some of your friends destroyed this economy...
You know...
Excuse me, I'm talking.
Let him run.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I like a little feistiness from Comrade Bernie last night's debate.
Yeah, the Democrats are trying to be interesting and fun like the Republicans are, you know? It's not fun to watch their boring debates, but last night they got in each other's faces.
Before that, Jim Webb. That's kind
Jim Webb.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a canary in the mine shaft in terms of Trump voters in a general election. Jim Webb, former Democrat senator from West Virginia, but military background. sort of, I guess, what passes for a Scoop Jackson Democrat these days, which is not particularly conservative, but positively conservative compared to those two socialists that were on the stage in Flint last night.
Remember Alec Baldwin played him on Saturday Night Live for their first debate?
Yeah.
Oh. He did a good job. Maybe you don't like Alec
Baldwin. But Jim Webb was on MSNBC. He was asked about supporting Hillary Clinton. Is he supporting Hillary Clinton? Would he vote for Hillary Clinton if she's the nominee? Listen to this exchange.
I'm not supporting anybody right now.
Would you vote for Hillary Clinton?
No, I would not vote for Hillary Clinton.
Would you vote for Donald Trump?
I'm not sure yet. I don't know who I'm going to vote for.
No, but not Hillary Clinton.
No, I don't. And this is nothing personal about Hillary Clinton, but I think the reason that Donald Trump is getting so much support right now is not because of the racists, et cetera, et cetera. It's because people are seeing him. A certain group of people are seeing him as the only one who has the courage to step forward and say, we've got to clean out the stables of the American governmental system right now. We've got to make it work. And if you're voting for Donald Trump, you may get something very good or very bad. If you're voting for Hillary Clinton, you're going to be getting the same thing. Do you want the same thing? 6% of the people in the country maybe want the same thing.
Interesting analysis by Webb. Trump, the only one cleaning out, the Augean stables, as it were. And do you want the same thing? That's Hillary Clinton. Are you willing to risk something very good for something very bad that could turn out to be very bad? I suppose that's Donald Trump, particularly for those that are similarly disposed to a Jim Webb. Kind of an interesting perspective from a former sitting Democrat senator.
What about Democratic solidarity? I mean, aren't you supposed to back your party? And it just doesn't matter. Mitt Romney's not doing that. Mitt Romney was on Meet the Press, and he said, if I had to vote today, I would put a conservative write-in candidate. So he wouldn't leave it blank, but that's if it was Trump and Clinton. Yes, if it was Trump and Clinton. If it was Ted Cruz or anybody else, he said he would vote for them, of course. But if it's Trump, Clinton, he couldn't, in his right mind, cross off the box for Donald Trump.
So this is the whole issue, of Cruz and, frankly, Hillary. It is a base plus strategy. It has to be a base plus disaffected center-right voters for Cruz, disaffected center-left, plus maybe a few never-Trump voters for Hillary. I don't know. It's when it's a race to the bottom. If it were Trump versus Hillary, for example, it's difficult to exactly look at what the percentages of this coalition that each one would have to stitch together look like. But but for both of them, what has to happen. You have to have, for Hillary, massive minority, young, single female turnout like you did for Barack Obama, his 50% plus one coalition twice, particularly in 2012. And for Trump, it has to be a lot of people like Jim Webb, a lot of people that may be in the trades, but also a healthy number of people that say, I may not like Trump stylistically, I may not appreciate his kind of third grade taunting and name calling, but you got to blow the thing up. It's beyond cure. And so we have to have somebody that's going to go in there and tear it apart and start over and tell all of those party leaders, both sides, what time it is. So that's kind of the interesting coalition that's happening. And by the way, the results on Saturday, people peeling off of Rubio for Cruz, and in Kansas, peeling off both candidates for Cruz, both Trump and Rubio. As was reported at the top, essentially 3/4 of the vote voting against the Mitt Romneys and Paul Ryans and John Boehners of the world on Saturday. And that you're seeing it happen in Kentucky, in Kansas, in Louisiana, in Maine. It's happening everywhere. There is something very real about what's happening. It is a movement that Trump is the titular head of right now, but it's even bigger than Trump, which is why I said a couple weeks ago, not even Trump could stop Trump at this point.
But Trump's, the way he polled and then the results on Saturday were not as good. I thought that he was taken down a few notches by what Mitt Romney had to say, by telling the established, mainstream Republicans don't vote
What's the
for
evidence
Donald
of
Trump.
That? What's the evidence?
Well, the polling. He was polling higher up 12 points, and then he ended up 7 points in,
but look at his total.
In Kentucky.
Look at his numbers, though. His numbers were essentially where he was polling. He was, around 36 to 40% of the vote.
I didn't factor in the margin of error. But
Well,
still, he wasn't as spectacular as he said he was going to be.
It's the margin changed. Trump's percentage of the vote did not materially change. That's the difference. So where's the vote coming from for Cruz? It's people peeling off Rubio. Was there some attrition for Trump? Yeah, on the margins. But by and large, it's and in Kentucky, it's interesting because the Real Clear Politics average in Kentucky had Rubio in second place going into at least the most recent polling. Had Rubio in second position going into Saturday night's primary. So it wasn't like they took Rubio's strategy. Whoever's in second, that's who you should vote for to try and stop Trump state by state. No. Cruz leapfrogged Rubio and came within a hair of Trump by the end of the voting in Kentucky. So there's something going on now. Is that sustainable? We'll find out because in Michigan, Trump, which is tomorrow, Trump has a 15 to 20 point lead. He's got a similar lead in Mississippi. You've got Idaho and Hawaii tomorrow as well.
There's a lot of delegates in Michigan, so he really needs to win Michigan.
We're going to, So,
on the Republican side, it's 130, and on the Democratic side, it's 180 delegates.
Well, and this is the sense of urgency, right? Because you have tomorrow and you have next Tuesday. And if Trump continues not running the table, it was a split decision on Saturday but it was Cruz momentum. But if he wins these big states and then Rust Belt states like Michigan plus in Ohio, plus in Florida, which he's well positioned to win 2 of those 3. Ohio's fairly close right now with Kasich moving a little bit and Kasich moving in Michigan too. But, now you're going to consolidate and try and stop him with Ted Cruz. You may be a little late to the dance, which is why you have a clarion call being put out by outlets like Red State. Now is the time to align with Cruz. Not like now. You can't wait till after March 15th. And that comes from Leon Wolf over at Red State, who endorsed Rubio last week.
Can you help me fall in love with Ted Cruz, please?
You don't have to
fall in love, or just help me want to support him.
You don't have to fall in love. You don't even have to fall into deep like. You just have to look at him and say, there's the guy who can, number one, stop Donald Trump, and number two, bring the bicycle chain to the playground in D.C., which is what people want.
Can you be president and a Supreme Court justice? Could he appoint himself?
Like a player coach?
Possibly.
It doesn't quite work that way.
Come on, Dan.
I don't think he can do both jobs. They're big jobs, both of them individually. Let's go to Dave in Northbrook here on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey guys, I think real quick on the primaries, I think what you saw is less about the Trump underperforming or anything. I think it was expected in the close primaries that he wasn't going to do as well as the overall polling, and so I think that you're right. The bigger story is about Cruz jumping over Rubio, but kind of to what you're saying about Cruz, I think Jim Webb is exactly right. Is that I definitely align more with Cruz on just about every issue. If you line them up, I agree with Cruz. I just don't have confidence that he can get in there, one, and beat the Democrat, and two, if he actually gets into Washington, I don't think he can enact the changes that we all want. So we're kind of left in the situation where we have Trump, where he's going to do something.
Well, I mean, on both of those scores, so Cruz, they're all basically in a statistical dead heat with Hillary Clinton, except for Kasich. Kasich is the only one actually outside the margin.
Yeah, but we haven't started the primary season yet. I think that Trump will resonate amongst the independents.
Well, we're 20 states in. We're 20 contests in. What do you mean we haven't started the primary?
Not the primary, the general. I'm sorry.
Oh.
When you go heads up, and then you start seeing Cruz will definitely have the conservative support. He just won't get the crossover, which I think is very. You look at the primaries, and that's where Trump is succeeding in the open primary states.
You don't think
pulling the crossover over right now?
You don't think Cruz can pull a large percentage of the Trump supporters?
I think he will get a large large percentage of the conservative Trump supporters. I don't think he will get a large percentage of either the non-interested or the more independent-minded Trump supporters.
Okay, thanks for the call. Sorry, Dave, didn't mean to cut you off, but appreciate the call. Tom in Oswego.
Morning, Dan and Amy.
Morning.
Yes, I think Donald Trump is lending voice to a lot of us who feel disenfranchised out here. I've been a Republican voter for years, and we can yell and scream out here, but nobody listens. Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney. They want our vote, but they don't listen to our concerns. And a guy like Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, who I love, they're listening. And I don't know if they're going to win this round, but I'll tell you what, the voices are going to get louder. And I call this a movement, a revolution. It's not going to stop. And if all these self-inflicted voters that vote Democratic, or I should say people that vote Democrat, they're not going to vote Republican or some other party until the pain gets so bad that even they decide, hey, we need something different.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Kent in the Loop.
Hey, good morning, guys. As for Donald Trump's losses, Kansas is the ultimate insider. It's a caucus state. Trump's lost 7 to Cruz. They're all caucus states. All the primary states, and look, Louisiana and Kentucky are conservative states. Trump won them, period. Whether he won them by a few less points than whichever poll said it, he won them. When he goes up north, he's going to do very well. Trump's in an awesome position right now to get the nomination. He has not underperformed at all. The Republican, insiders have basically tried to steal it by this caucus system.
Well, I mean, the caucuses were the caucuses going into this cycle, whether Trump was a candidate or not. So, I mean, they're not really trying to steal it with the caucuses, but I mean, it's a fair point that, he's still winning these states, whether it's making the RCP average or not. He's winning the states, and he's positioned to win tomorrow. He's positioned to win on Tuesday. And you're right. I mean, I would, if I'm looking at this, who would I rather be at this point, Trump, Cruz, or Rubio? Trump. If I was, I mean, you're right.
Not Rubio and his string of third-place finishes.
Thanks for the call, Kent.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A warm day, but we do have some brief showers or two in the afternoon. A high of 59 degrees. 49 right now at O'Hare. And then tonight, cloudy and mild, a high of 52, or I should say a low of 52, which is pretty good for this time of year. And tomorrow, we could set a record. It'll be cloudy, windy, a high near 70 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. Kennedy inbound slow from the River O'Toole to Foster. 24 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 34. It's stop and go Montrose to Bryn Mawr after a crash. And westbound 190 has delays from the Kennedy to the terminal area at O'Hare. Eden's inbound, just a little heavy approaching the junction. Eisenhower, slow Wolf to First. 35 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 30. Stevenson runs 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. It's clear outbound. Ryan, 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tollways look good. Chicago's northwest side, Milwaukee Avenue is closed. Fullerton to Medill for filming until 3 this afternoon. I'm Jim Talamonte, the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hey, are you thinking about where you'll be sending your kids to school this fall? Maybe you've considered a private school in the past, but always figured you couldn't afford it. Well, if that's the case, then we want to remind you about halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, you can find dozens of local private schools that are offering vouchers for a full year of tuition at, you guessed it, half the price. There's no catch. Find a school near you, purchase a tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. It's really that simple. There's schools located all across the Chicago area, including in Chicago, Arlington Heights, Grays Lake, South Holland. Now, this might make private schools a real option for your family for the first time, but do not wait. These vouchers sell out every year. Visit halfpriceschools.com today. That's halfpriceschools.com.
I feel great. I've always felt pretty good, but once I started taking them in September, I couldn't have felt any better. Everybody in my household's been sick through the holidays. We've had bad snowstorms here, and I feel great.
This is a wonderful thing. I'm really getting a lot of benefits from it. I'm 70 years old. I'm going to be 71 in April, and I just feel generally much better. I would also say there have been all kinds of colds and flu around me, and I haven't caught any of them. I have arthritis, and that has not been as much as it used to be by a long shot. So it's touched me in many areas.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO
Winter weather is here, and this season's roller coaster ride and temperatures can be especially taxing on your business's mechanical HVAC system. That's why it's important to schedule a comprehensive review of your system today with Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading mechanical professionals. For more than 80 years, Air Comfort has maintained hundreds of businesses' HVAC systems throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Why do they trust their mechanical systems to Air Comfort? It's simple. Because they understand that Air Comfort has the best trained and highly skilled team of award-winning technicians. That's why Air Comfort is recognized as an MSCA Star Contractor, a designation achieved by only 2% of contractors nationwide. With a large service fleet of more than 80 fully equipped vehicles, chances are that an Air Comfort technician is nearby. Schedule your system check by calling now, 708-345-1900, or online at aircomfort.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so Hillary email problem, new developments. The 52,000 pages of Hillary emails that were released last week contained 104 emails that she sent using her private server while Secretary of State that the government has since said contained classified information. So she's sending emails that contain confidential or secret information, including this one, email from April 2012, where her aide, Jake Sullivan, forwarded a blog post from a jihadist group. Clinton replied, "If not classified or otherwise inappropriate, can you send to the New York Times reporters who interviewed me today?" Well, as the Wall Street Journal points out, the fact that Hillary asked if this was classified suggests she knew that people were sending sensitive information to her unsecure server. The new email dump also shows that John Kerry sent Clinton intelligence he'd obtained from top Pakistani generals on her unsecured server. Hillary suggesting that, number one, she's the most transparent official in modern times as far as she knows. And number two, the immunity deal that the kid who set up her server got, who was working at the State Department under her, that's great news.
Let me ask you a question about something that was in the news this week. Brian Pagliano, the former State Department staffer, was granted immunity from prosecution in the criminal investigation into your email server. And when this happens, I talk to Democrats, and they worry that somebody is going to get indicted.
Well, there is no basis for that. It's a security review. I'm delighted that he has agreed to cooperate, as everyone else has. And I think that
fantastic development.
Yeah,
I'm
delighted.
Great. As Ted Cruz said at CPAC about this matter, when Paulie rolls on Fat Tony, that's not good news for Fat Tony. So this is not good news for Hillary, obviously. And you've got some very curious interference being run by Hillary Flax, like Congressman Joaquin Castro, who's the twin brother of HUD Secretary Julian Castro.
Who's probably going to be her vice presidential nominee.
Well, his name has been rumored, right there.
Mm-hmm.
These two Bond villains are Hillary Clintonistas. And listen to what he said on CNN, where he had to get corrected by the entire panel. So ridiculous what he said was Dana Bash had to correct him.
And also because it's been settled by the Congress. The Congress has looked into it. The Justice Department has looked into it, and they've cleared her.
The Justice Department is looking into it, but that's for another.
She's been cleared. I missed that.
Okay, we gotta go. We're gonna have this conversation for a lot of months.
Oh yeah, well, I would have liked to have that conversation right then. Yeah, that was Hugh Hewitt who said,
"Oh, really? She's been cleared?
She's cleared.
Oh,
this
just in."
Well, it's funny because this will come as a shock to Congressman Julian Castro, a Democrat from Texas. But let's see, James Comey was interviewed on the Hill last week. He didn't say anything of the sort. Loretta Lynn, she's the Attorney General. She didn't say anything of the sort. She didn't say anything,
Does
period.
he not even watch the news or read a newspaper, this Castro guy?
Well, I mean, he's the perfect Clinton surrogate.
Yeah, they elevated him to HUD secretary to get his name out there, and they've been parading him around in different cities so people can get to know him.
Well, that's Julian Castro.
Julian Castro, and this is his twin.
Right.
But still, anytime they can get him on the mainstream media, it's promoting the Castro name and the brand.
Yeah, but the real reason that he makes such a good Clinton surrogate is because he is in no way encumbered by the facts.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Republican Michelle Moore is an active member of her church who spends her Tuesday afternoons teaching children our shared values at catechism class. You don't see that much in politics, but Michelle Moore is not your average candidate. Michelle Moore teaches ethics and morals to our children because she believes we need to do the right thing at home, at work, and in public, especially in government. Michelle Moore will bring that honesty and integrity to the DuPage County Board. Michelle Moore is a fiscal conservative who believes we need to cut property taxes. Michelle Moore will work with DuPage County Board Chairman Dan Cronin for accountability, consolidation, and transparency. Michelle Moore will attack the problems of government with the same fervor she brought to felony prosecutions as an assistant DuPage County State's Attorney. Republican Michelle Moore is exactly what we want and need in DuPage County government. Please vote for Republican Michelle Moore on March 15th.
Paid for by Citizens for Michelle Moore.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
A California lawmaker wants to ban state-funded travel for California athletic teams to states he deems anti-gay. That's at 6:36.
Yeah, we'll have the list for you. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Wind south at 10. Clouds and 46 degrees. Toxic water crisis in Flint on the minds of Democratic presidential candidates. Bernie Sanders says he has met with several Flint residents and was shattered by what he heard in the state of Michigan.
It was beyond belief that children in Flint, Michigan, in the United States of America in the year 2016 are being poisoned.
At a CNN debate in Flint on Sunday, Hillary Clinton says those responsible will be held accountable.
Every one of us should have to just run through in our minds how we use water every single day to understand the pressures and the real pain that families are going through.
She told Flint residents that government has let them down. Republicans and Democrats are praising Nancy Reagan, who died at the age of 94 yesterday. Fox News reporter Chris Wallace said he did an early documentary on the First Lady.
It was just terrific. When you sat and talked with her, you were the only person in the room, and that famous gaze that she looked at the president with when he spoke, she'd focus that on you.
Former First Lady Barbara Bush says Nancy was totally devoted to Ronald Reagan, and she takes comfort in knowing that Nancy Reagan is reunited with him. Coast Guard calling off the search this morning for a man who tumbled off a cruise ship. David Mossman of Texas fell from the 10th deck of a Royal Caribbean cruise ship off the coast of Key Largo, Florida, Saturday. The man credited with inventing the email has died. The Sydney Morning Herald says Ray Tomlinson died of a heart attack Saturday at the age of 74. Tomlinson sent the first email ever in 1971, working in Boston for a company that helped develop an early version of the World Wide Web. United Airlines CEO Carlos Munoz says he's returning to work 1 week from today, 2 months after receiving a new heart. TV watchers in Illinois going to see plenty of anti-Donald Trump ads in the next couple of weeks. According to the New York Times, Club for Growth Super PAC is spending $2 million on advertising in the March 15 Illinois primary. And state officials say, yes, they have recovered a dangerous radioactive device missing since last October. The Illinois Emergency Management Agency says a radioactive well logger was found by a farmer in Fairfield in a field. Search for that device involved multiple federal and state agencies over months. They announced over the weekend they're going to fine the well service $25,500 on top of making them pay for every hour of the search for that device. Chicago sports, it was the Blackhawks over the Red Wings 4-1. College buckets in the Big Ten. Penn State topped Illinois. Northwestern, their 20th win of the year, 65-54 over Nebraska. The news, a service of Aurora University Online Learning. Pursue your passion with a degree from Aurora University Online. Choose from fully online programs in accounting, business, education, criminal justice, general studies, integrated communication, nursing, and social work. To learn more, visit online.aurora.edu. 6:34 is our time. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager believes there's only one difference between Sanders and Clinton.
Bernie Sanders wants the state to be even bigger than Hillary Clinton does. Not much. Truth be told, there's no difference between them. There really isn't, except he happens to be personally honest and she's a crook. That is the only difference. He is an honest socialist, she's a dishonest socialist.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
Attention market watchers. Until recently, the market hadn't seen back-to-back days of 500-point losses since November of 2008. What if you had no market exposure? What if you didn't have to worry about the markets? How would you sleep? Leave the volatility behind. Hi, this is Jack Taboda. Our proprietary income strategies provide reliable, inflation-protected income, guaranteed for life, with no market exposure. Call me at 630-777-7955. That's 630-777-7955. You've worked hard to build your wealth. I work hard to protect it. 630-777-7955.
Insurance products may be presented and guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the insurance company represented. Securities offered through ProEquities Inc., a registered broker-dealer and member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Harvest Investment Services LLC, a registered investment advisor. Taboda and Associates and Harvest Investment Services LLC are independent of ProEquities Inc.
Hey, if you need to sell your home in Chicagoland, Sean Hannity here with some very important facts that you need to know. Now, 40% of homes hitting the market in Chicago are not selling. Now, those are horrible odds. You need to call Saul Z and the Z team based right here in Chicagoland. Now, Saul sells a home on average every 24 hours and attracts hundreds of buyers every month locally, nationally, and internationally. The Wall Street Journal ranks Saul's team in the top 110 teams out of 1.2 million agents in the U.S. Now, Saul Z guarantees to sell your home in 29 days at a price and deadline that you agree to, or he will buy your home or he'll sell it for free. Plus, working with Saul is also risk-free. After 24 hours, if he's not doing his job, you can walk away free and clear. Just call the agent I would call if I needed to sell my home and lived in Chicagoland. Call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's 888-346-0666. Or go online at callsaul.net. That's callsaul.net.
6:37 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Northbound I-55 has delays from Weber Road to the right around Veterans Parkway. There's a right lane closure there, and we have reports from state police that a person was hit by a vehicle. So we'll keep an eye on that. Farther north, the Stevenson has the more routine delays, starting again at Harlem. It's 42 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, and outbound it's fine. Eden's 24 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 25 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 37, with delays from Diversey to Bryn Mawr after a crash. Westbound 190, still heavy from the Kennedy to the terminal area at the airport. Von Eisenhower, 41 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 31. Ryan, 19 minutes, 95th to downtown, I-57, 18 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop Ford, 19. Traffic is a service of Whole Foods Market. This week at Whole Foods Market, save on fresh asparagus, just $2.49 per pound through this Tuesday, and get organic whole trade bell peppers for just $2.99 per pound. Stock up and save today at Whole Foods Market, America's healthiest grocery store. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy and breezy, a brief shower or two on hand today, high 59. Cloudy, breezy, and mild, 52 overnight. Currently, we have 47 at O'Hare, 48 along the lakefront. Next news coming up at 7, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so I got a multiple choice for you, Amy. Where would you like to start? California lawmaker that doesn't want to allow for state-funded travel for California athletic teams to go to states he deems as anti-gay. What's going on at Bowdoin College, elite private college, with respect to students being impeached for wearing mini sombreros, or the $900,000 administrator at the U of I?
Dan, I'm going to take administrator from U of I for $200, please.
Okay, we'll start at home. All right,
Thank
very
you.
good.
Keep it local first.
Pensions versus higher education. You want to understand why U of I is so expensive? And by that I mean U of I, highest tuition and fee costs in the state, average tuition now for state.
Okay, how much?
For, state.
In-state tuition?
Right. Average tuition now is almost $16,000 annually, which is up 80% from a decade ago.
That's a lot.
By comparison, the national average for in-state tuition and fees at four-year public institutions, half that, about $8,800. This is for the 2013-2014 school year. Why so expensive?
Maybe because we're paying for some fraudulent behavior from people on top?
Well, it's not fraudulent. It's just the system, but the system is not financeable. The truth is more than 50% of Illinois' $4.1 billion budget for state universities is spent on retirement costs. Has nothing to do with what's going on in the classroom at present. And by the way, it's not just U of I. Northeastern Illinois, average cost for tuition and fees gone up by 112% from a decade ago to north of $13,000. And so more than half of the $4.1 billion budget, this comes to us from the Illinois Policy Institute. According to the Illinois Board of Higher Education, over half of Illinois' 2,465 university administrators received a base salary of more than $100,000 in 2015. 95% of the University of Illinois' system's top 126 administrators also made more than $100,000.
Oh, my God.
And then there's this. The top compensated administrator in 2014, U of I Chancellor Paula Allen Mears. Total compensation as Chancellor, base salary $437,000 with a bonus retention incentive of $450,000, bringing her annual compensation to $244,000. And she's not winning football games or putting fans at Assembly Hall. $900,000, and then just the large percentage of pensioners.
Is that the highest pension?
A large percentage of pensions in terms of the percentage of the budget, but also the large percentage of administrators making hefty salaries. 50% of the retirees retired in their mid-50s, with many with full pension benefits. Over 40% of those retirees will receive more than $1 million in total benefits, and over 7,400, which is 14%, will receive more than $2 million in benefits. The top pensioner in the state university retirement system, Leslie Heffes, an oral surgeon who retired from UIC in 2012. Heffes currently draws $547,000 annual pension.
Oh, my God. I mean, where's the money to pay for this?
If he lives to current life expectancy for a male, his age demographic, he'll receive $18 million in pension benefits over the course of his retirement.
That's why spouses keep the dead bodies hot, to keep receiving the pension check. Well, I'll declare him dead next month because I need this pension.
Well, I mean, so this is, so you want to talk about, how do we make college more affordable for middle income families? How do we make college more affordable so that young people are not coming out of four-year universities with tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt? Well, you have to look at how we're spending the money and the obligations, the benefits conferred, imposed, don't you? And so on the one hand, all of these folks run with their tin cups to Springfield, say, how dare you not fund the universities to this level? And they talk about, they wring their hands over the debt that students accrue to go to U of I or other state universities.
Wouldn't you feel guilty taking that money, though?
And here's the system. And I say this, we talk about this at the K through 12 level. I'll say the same thing at the university level. To some extent, to a large extent, I don't blame the people in the system. I would try and maximize my earnings. You would try and maximize your earnings.
No, I would feel guilty taking that kind of cash. That is a ridiculous amount of money, Dan.
Well,
please.
Here's what I would say. I expect people to try and maximize their earnings.
Mm-hmm.
These are the salaries the system provides. But the question is, all of those politicians in Springfield who set up this system, and Republicans and Democrats, that are conferring these benefits and imposing these burdens on taxpayers and families. I mean, you're getting hit in every which direction. Your kids can't afford to go to U of I while you're financing these gold-plated pensions, and the state is spending twice as much per student as neighboring states with their conference peers, while the in-state tuition is 30%, 60% higher, and it's not redounding to the benefit of your kid. I mean, there's like layers and layers of scam here. I don't blame people for maximizing their earnings, but I do blame people who are being disingenuous about where we're spending the money, what is imposing the cost, what is preventing more access to higher ed without, again, incurring the kind of debt that is being incurred at present. So this is the explanation. I mean, this is largely the explanation. That's U of I. That's the Illinois University system.
Do we have time for California?
Well, let's go to Ted in Oak Forest real quick. Hey, Ted.
Yeah, in the 60s, the students used to march on the dean's office because they had the wrong potato chips in the cafeteria. Now their grandkids and kids are being just robbed blind. Why don't the parents and the grandparents start marching on these colleges?
Well, thanks for the call, Ted. I mean, I think largely they don't know, and they're, it's my alma mater, right or wrong. Sometimes you have that dynamic. So
that's why it's cheaper just to go to University of Iowa.
Yeah.
If you're not, I mean, if that in-state tuition's that high, that's a joke. Because if you live in Iowa and you go to University of Iowa, it could be anywhere between $5,000 to $6,000.
Right. Well, again, the national average is 8.
Because they want to keep people in state.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, I mean, right. And by the way, also Illinois, this was the case a few years ago. I doubt it's changed much. Illinois exports more of its high school, more of its college-bound high school seniors than every state in the nation except for New Jersey. So you send kids away, they often don't come back, and now some of your best and brightest are pursuing their careers and their chosen fields of endeavor in other states, not named Illinois, and that, of course, is another negative to this Ponzi scheme that the state runs. So quickly to Bowden.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a funny story. I mean, it's just funny if you think.
Funny, haha.
If you think kind of mind-numbing political correctness is. But yeah, remove James Bowden College in Maine from the list for Eli and Peyton.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, some students threw a birthday party for a friend. Email invitation read, "The theme is tequila.
Oh, no.
So do what you may. We're not saying it's a fiesta, but we're also not saying that it's not." The invitation sent by a student of Colombian descent, which may or may not be relevant, I don't know. It's hard to know what it is. Says, games, music, cups, other things for a good night. Partygoers ultimately were reprimanded or placed on social probation. The hosts have been kicked out of their dorm, according to friends, because mini sombreros several inches in diameter were worn. Attendees were photographed, and when they showed up on social media, of course, all of the politically correct adult students and administrators went loco.
Hey, and I like that.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. So the person who hosted the party got kicked off campus or kicked out of their dorm?
Kicked out of their dorm, but there's also
it's still disruptive. I mean,
but there's also a movement. 2 members of the student government will face impeachment proceedings. Hi, this is great. Also,
for little Barbie doll-sized sombreros?
Yeah.
Come on, they should have just put a toothpick in it and made it an umbrella drink.
Now, this update in the Washington Post, this is great. It turns out that Bowdoin provided the sombreros. The school actually posted on Facebook pictures of people donning them for the photo booth. So, yeah. And Bowdoin Reunion's Instagram account, props for the photo booth, put on a silly hat and come to Smith Union for the Bowdoin Reunion photo booth. So that's interesting. So the school may be complicit. That doesn't mean that they still won't punish the transgressors, I guess. The funny thing about this, if these ignoramuses even knew who James Bowdoin was, they'd impeach themselves. He was a governor of Massachusetts who was a wealthy merchant.
Yeah.
And he repressed Shays' Rebellion back in 1786, 1787.
Just get it right, Dan. Come on.
Well, it was actually over the course of a year.
Okay.
The rebellion.
The
by
rebellion lasted a
revolutionary
year.
soldiers. So, yeah, I mean, if they even knew, then they would all impeach themselves. But, of course, that would require an understanding of American history, intellectual curiosity, academic scholarship, none of which is occurring at one of these elite small private universities that charges, $50,000 to go. Oh, boy.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Not too bad outside. Cloudy, breezy, but by this afternoon we'll have a shower or two. A high of 59 degrees. Then tomorrow, cloudy, windy, warmer. We could set a record, a high near 70 degrees. Wow. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Delamonte.
Thanks, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. Kennedy outbound really slow now from Ohio to Cumberland. It is a 30-minute drive to Montrose, 50 downtown to O'Hare, and tack on delays on westbound 190 from the Kennedy to the terminal area. It is improving there. Inbound, 30 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Eden's inbound, 24 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Eisenhower, now 43 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 34. Northbound I-55, stop and go, 126 to Veterans Parkway after a crash. Then delays start again at Harlem. 43 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 34. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. The eastbound Adams Tollway has delays. Barrington to Roselle with a crash in the left lane. Jim Talamonte, the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Your bank may be soon tracking your cell phone. An electric car startup is easing taxpayer concerns, and Janet Yellen wants to strengthen banks. Those stories next.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a SelectQuote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-431-0848. That's 1-800-431-0848. 1-800-431-0848. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, insurance company, and other factors not available in all states.
Fed Chair Janet Yellen proposing rules to address financial exposure of big banks. She wants to avoid a 2008-style financial crisis again. Good idea. Even as Apple and the FBI continue their battle over consumer privacy, U.S. Bancorp will launch a new service tracking its customers' cell phones. The bank hopes to cut down on suspicious purchases and protect consumer credit. And the government is investigating complaints that brakes can fail on Ford's F-150 trucks, the top-selling pickup in the country. Electric car maker Faraday Future has promised Nevada state officials it will put up a $75 million bond to protect taxpayers if its operations go belly up. $120 million of public money has been invested in Faraday. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Are you or someone you know facing foreclosure, losing the family home? You'd be not alone. See, people, we are in the aftermath of what is being revealed to have been the greatest financial crime spree in history, perpetrated by the Wall Street investment banks smuggling and packaging mortgages, and continuing this day by the mortgage servicers that service those mortgages. I'm Lou Bridges. I have a law firm I put together. We defend foreclosure actions. We help people do strategic defaults, short sales, and modifications that include restructuring. Call us for a free consultation. We'll tell you what to look for in hiring a foreclosure defense attorney. We'll tell you some of your options. We'll give you a free consultation. But whatever you do, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, and I guarantee you'll never be alone.
Call 224-513-1231 or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. That's 224-513-1231 or FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. Get real answers from a real foreclosure defense law firm.
Hey,
Hey, protecting your family and Second Amendment rights is important. You need the proper equipment and training from DS Arms. As an actual manufacturer of AR-15 and FNFAL type rifles, they also stock all major brands of firearms, including handguns and every accessory imaginable for self-defense, target shooting, and hunting. Ladies, get your concealed carry license plus basic and advanced training in a family-friendly environment with girlfriends, loved ones, even mom. Everything's provided, including a firearm for only $225. For custom rifles made in America or concealed carry firearms training classes, make DS Arms your team. It's great being an American and supporting your Second Amendment rights and American manufacturing jobs. With nearly 3 decades of experience, DS Arms has you covered. DS Arms, much more than a gun store. It's easy to reach in Lake Barrington, just off of Route 14 and Pepper Road. Call 847-277-7260 or visit dsarms.com.
Lately, it seems you're not feeling quite right. As if your body is working against you. Dr. Amy and Associates can help create a path to achieve optimal health. Experience personalized health care for your mind, body, and spirit at a practice that blends holistic and traditional medicine.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amy Harris-Nuon of Dr. Amy and Associates. As an integrative health and wellness center, we take a team approach to your health care, so we welcome the opportunity to work collaboratively with your current health care provider. We're different from today's typical standard of care because our focus is on understanding the root cause of your health problem, not just treating the symptoms. It's a personalized approach that explores a wide range of proven treatments and one that's focused on helping you achieve your health and wellness goals so you can achieve a full, happy, and satisfying life.
Call Dr. Amy and Associates to experience a whole-person integrative approach to health and wellness. 630-980-1400 or visit dramyandassociates.com. Dr. Amy and Associates, empowering people, changing lives. The following is a paid political announcement.
Do no harm.
It's an oath every doctor takes, and Dr. Nick Stella takes that oath very seriously.
Do no harm.
Obamacare is a disaster. Dr. Stella will fight to put healthcare decisions back into the hands of patients and doctors.
Do no harm.
With the threat of terrorism becoming an everyday reality, Dr. Stella will make national security a priority. And instead of arguing about problems, he'll focus on solutions.
Do no harm.
For too long, politics as usual has invaded Congress. As a practicing cardiologist, Dr. Stella's focus is for positive outcomes, an idea that's been lost in Washington. Washington insiders have failed us on all levels: the economy, jobs, national security, healthcare. Dr. Nick Stella has spent his career helping people improve their lives. Dr. Nick Stella will be the outsider voice we need in Congress. Dr. Nick Stella, Republican for Congress.
I'm Dr. Nick Stella, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Stella for Congress, Inc.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
You've heard of living trusts and how they can help protect your assets, but you may not know if a living trust is right for you, or maybe you have questions about creating your own living trust. The fact is, almost everyone can benefit from a living trust, which can protect your assets from the court system and your loved ones from unnecessary expense and inconvenience. Learn more at a free seminar Monday, March 14th. Estate planning attorney Robert Sapolis will explain how to create your living trust, estate planning under the new tax laws, why a will does not not avoid probate, and more. Have your estate planning and living trust questions answered absolutely free. Don't miss this important seminar, Monday, March 14th at 6:30 p.m. at Papa Joe's Restaurant, 145th and LaGrange Road in Orland Park. The seminar is free and a complimentary dinner is served, but you must make a reservation now. Call 708-478-1400. That's 708-478-1400. Again, 708-478-1400.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Trump's up big in Michigan, but could there be a surprise afoot? We'll ask Ched Livengood, political reporter for the Detroit News, at 7:07.
And later, she quit the DNC. Representative Tulsi Gabbard will be here to talk about why she's got a burn for Bernie. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a state representative, is accused of buying votes ahead of the primary. Anti-Trump TV ads set to air statewide this week. And the Blackhawks thumped the Red Wings. Rather a partly sunny morning shaping up. WIND, Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony.
I need your help. It's crunch time now.
Marco Rubio rallying in Idaho.
I need to win here.
He did win in Puerto Rico in a landslide yesterday, getting 74% in all 23 delegates, but Rubio still far back of Donald Trump and Ted Cruz in the Republican race. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, Rubio's second win in this primary season comes as Republican candidates look ahead to the winner-take-all primary next week in Florida, Rubio's home state. Donald Trump is way ahead in the Sunshine State and has been calling on Rubio to drop out. Trump lost Maine to Ted Cruz, but brushed off the defeat on Fox and Friends.
Did okay up there, but I only went there for a brief period of time. I didn't campaign very much up there.
Voters go to the polls in 4 states tomorrow: Michigan, Mississippi, Idaho, and Hawaii. Dave.
Rachel, Bernie Sanders won the Democratic caucuses in Maine and took some heat from Hillary Clinton in another debate.
I voted to save the auto industry. He voted against the money that ended up saving the auto industry. I think that is a pretty big difference.
Well, if you are talking about the Wall Street bailout, where some of your friends destroyed this economy, excuse me, I'm talking.
Let him sprung.
The two did agree at the CNN debate in Flint, Michigan, that more needs to be done to fix that city's water crisis, and both called on Republican Governor Rick Snyder to resign. The U.S. and South Korea are starting joint military exercises, war games that North Korea does not like, threatening a preemptive nuclear strike. You've probably noticed gas prices have gone back up 7 cents the past 2 weeks.
It's the first noticeable rise since fall of 2015.
Analyst Triple Dunberg's nationwide survey has regular at $1.84 a gallon. AAA's average is $1.81. There is still no sign of a Texas man who fell off the 10th deck of a cruise ship near Key Largo, Florida, Friday night. The Coast Guard has now suspended the search. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Partly sunny skies this morning. 46 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. United Airlines CEO Carlos Munoz says he's going back to work 2 months after receiving a new heart. Munoz announcing over the weekend he'll be back on the job a week from today. Elected officials and community leaders in Illinois remembering former First Lady Nancy Reagan for her strength and her anti-drug advocacy work. And a Chicago high school is remembering the former First Lady as well. Nancy Reagan, as a young girl, graduated from Latin School for Girls on the near north side in 1939. Television watchers in this state are going to see plenty of anti-Donald Trump ads in the next week. According to the New York Times, the Club for Growth spending $2 million on advertising ahead of the March 15 Illinois primary. Trump has won Republican primaries in 12 states so far. State Representative Ken Duncan's campaign is under fire over allegations of vote fraud. Alderman Pat Dowell and Secretary of State Jesse White held a press conference yesterday leveling accusations against the Chicago Democrat of buying those votes ahead of the upcoming primary.
We cannot have the sanctity of voting broken by a desperate and unethical candidate who is seeking to do everything that he can to win an election.
Cook County State's Attorney's Office says they are looking into the matter. Authorities are investigating after a man robbed a bank on the northwest side. The robber apparently entered the TCF Bank branch yesterday on Cumberland Avenue. The FBI says no one was hurt. And Governor State University trustees have unanimously approved a tuition freeze for the South Suburban Chicago campus for the upcoming academic year. Trustees approving that tuition freeze late Friday and also renewed their pledge to front funds for the school's MAP program. Chicago sports, Lovie Smith set to become the new head football coach at the University of Illinois for the fired Bill Cubit. Was the Blackhawks over Detroit 4-1. Big Ten college baskets. Penn State topped the Fighting Illini in double overtime. Northwestern wins their 20th over Nebraska, 65-54. The news, a service of InvisibleFence.com. Protect your pets with Invisible Fence brand. Keep them in the yard, away from the fireplace, and off the furniture. Invisible Fence brand has the answer to training your pets at InvisibleFence.com. Invisible Fence brand can install in any weather, rain or snow. Visit InvisibleFence.com. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sends a warning to whoever wins the GOP nomination.
Whoever wins this is what they are going to do.
This is how they play this game.
This is not beanball for Democrats. Hillary Clinton wants Air Force One. She wants to be called Madam President. There's nothing that she won't say or do.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a free domain with website from GoDaddy.com, starting at $1 a month. Annual purchase of website builder required. Price valid first year only. See website for details.
If you want to work until you drop, reduce your standard of living in retirement, or lose more of your hard-earned money in the stock market, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to generate a steady, predictable income, I'm talking real wealth and financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. A free report is now available that reveals the money-making secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. It reveals how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your money in the Wall Street casino. To get your free special report, visit bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com.
7:06 in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The eastbound Adams Tollway has heavy delays from Bartlett Road to Roselle Road, where a crash has the left lane blocked. Northbound Tri-State stop and go from Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Reagan Tollway still good. Northbound Veterans Memorial, heavy Maple to the Reagan Tollway and Butterfield to Roosevelt. Edens Expressway, slow Niles Center to the junction. 24 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 22. The Kennedy, 35 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 45. Inbound Eisenhower, now 53 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, 40 from Manheim, outbound 36 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound good. The Ryan, 23 minutes, 95 to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, traffic is stop and go from Irving Park to Belmont. Crash in the left lane. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Let's get the latest with our meteorologist, Holly Holdren.
It'll be cloudy and breezy today with a shower or two and a high of 59. Cloudy, breezy, and mild tonight, low 52. Then tomorrow, cloudy, windy, and warmer with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon and a high of 67. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 47, partly sunny at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Artistic Dentistry, providing excellence in the art of science and dentistry. Visit donewithdentures.com.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Say yes to your life. And when it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
And I want to congratulate Ted on Maine and on Kansas, and he should do well in Maine because it's very close to Canada, let's face it. I mean...
Well, if you are talking about the Wall Street bailout, where some of your friends destroyed this economy...
You know...
Excuse me, I'm talking.
Let him respond.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Amy, Michigan primary tomorrow. You had a Democrat debate in Flint last night, and I don't often learn things when Bernie and Hillary square off, but
talk.
I did learn something yesterday.
What did you learn?
I learned that there are no white people in America who are poor.
When you're white, you don't know what it's like to be living in a ghetto. You don't know what it's like to be poor. You don't know what it's like to be hassled when you walk down the street or you get dragged out of a...
Yeah.
Oh, really? White people didn't receive government cheese during the Reagan era? Really?
During the Reagan era.
White people weren't on food stamps? I mean, how could he say something like that?
Weren't? Past tense? How about present tense? Have you been to Appalachia? For example, it turns out, of course, we know this based on the government data, the majority of welfare beneficiaries are white. Now, it's...
Well, don't tell Bernie that, because that doesn't fit his narrative, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that minorities is disproportionate to their percentage of the population, but, look, I understand. I hate white people as much as Bernie and Hillary does, right?
Don't make me feel more guilty.
I hate white people, so I know, and I know that's a platform plank in the Democrat Party now, is hating on white people. Except for, if you're Hillary, for the white people, the banks that you pay her $250,000 to give speeches. But yeah, no, I get it, and I understand Bernie needs to break into that firewall to keep his campaign going. But that's a fascinating statement. White people don't know what it's like to be poor.
What I learned yesterday is I did not know that Bernie Sanders he didn't vote to bail out the auto industry. And he seemed so surprised when Hillary brought that up. Like, you're in Michigan, you're in Flint.
I voted to save the auto industry. He voted against the money that ended up saving the auto industry. I think that is a pretty big difference.
Well, if you are talking about the Wall Street bailout, where some of your friends destroyed this economy... Excuse me, I'm talking.
Let him respond.
If you're going to talk, tell the whole story, Senator
Let
Sanders.
me tell my story, you tell yours.
I will.
Your story is for voting for every disastrous trade agreement and voting for corporate America. Did I vote against the Wall Street bailout? When billionaires on Wall Street destroyed this economy, they went to Congress and they said, oh, please, we'll be good boys, bail us out. You know what I said? I said, let the billionaires themselves bail out Wall Street. Shouldn't be the middle class of this country.
Okay. It was nice to see Bernie sit Hillary down for a change rather than being so conciliatory towards her. In addition to that, the other thing that's worth noting about the exchanges on those topics, Bernie Sanders talking about trade deals sounds eerily similar to Donald Trump. Just something worth noting. The self-avowed socialist, when talking trade, sounds eerily similar to Trump. For more on what may happen when Michigan voters go to the polls tomorrow, we're now joined by Chad Livengood. He's a political reporter for the Detroit News. Chad, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
So when we start on the Republican side, you saw Donald Trump going into Saturday in states like Kentucky and Louisiana, in Kansas even, with big leads. He split decision with Ted Cruz. He goes into Michigan tomorrow with a big lead. Is there any sense on the ground that the race may be tightening?
There is not. Ohio Governor John Kasich has been here virtually every day for the last week, except for yesterday. He was back in Ohio, in Columbus, and in Toledo, which is right on the border. And he obviously been trying to strengthen his hold in Ohio, because his whole campaign is based on winning Ohio, his home state, and keeping himself in the race. Yeah, but he has been trying to make a strong showing here. There are some polls that show him in second now to Trump, but it's still a double-digit lead for the billionaire from New York. And so at this point, the other candidates aren't even in the state. Donald Trump's not planning to be here. He's going to be in Mississippi and North Carolina today. And Marco Rubio is virtually gone AWOL in Michigan as well. as has Ted Cruz. He hasn't even been here since Thursday night. That was his only time. Rubio did do a rally last Wednesday before the debate, but the campaign basically for the Republican nomination in Michigan kind of ended with a whimper, with just John Kasich still running around Southeast Michigan trying to drum up some votes.
Well, I don't think Michiganders like being ignored, so don't you think that'll affect the way people vote in tomorrow's primary?
It may. I mean, interestingly enough, Donald Trump is on television here in Michigan. He's gone up with a limited ad buy, something seemingly less than $500,000 across the market. But it does point to maybe there's a little bit of evidence that there may be a little bit of weak numbers, or there might be some concerns in the Trump campaign that he isn't a shoo-in on Tuesday. So we'll have to see. I mean, like I said, John Kasich has been campaigning heavily. His Super PAC and his campaign are on television in Michigan, and he's really emphasizing jobs and economic issues, pocketbook issues. I mean, he's running a campaign that is very, very geared towards Michigan's battered economy and the overall economic success of Michigan, which is very much tied to the success of Ohio.
Now, one of the arguments that Trump makes is he's going to put states like Michigan in play for real this time in a way that it hasn't been at the presidential level for some time. Do you get the sense that a Trump versus Hillary matchup, that Michigan actually would be in play because of some of the, because I guess I would say because of the composition of the Trump support that a state like Michigan with the economic troubles that you're describing could be in play for Trump?
Trump definitely attracts independents and the so-called Reagan Democrats. Macomb County, sort of a blue-collar suburb of Detroit, just to the north of Detroit, is the home of the Reagan Democrats. And we did a poll a couple weeks ago, and statewide, Donald Trump was carrying 30% of the electorate, but in Macomb County, he had 60%. He's got a lot of appeal. They're social conservatives, but they also are really mad and upset with the state of American economy and globalization. They've seen auto jobs leave. I mean, as you mentioned, Bernie Sanders talking about trade deals. Sanders and Donald Trump are tapping into a similar electorate who are upset with the way the economy of the American economy has evolved, and again, they're upset with globalization and the diminishing manufacturing base. That plays really well in Macomb County. That plays well in parts of Wayne County, which is very, very a Democratic stronghold, and it probably will translate in places like Cook County, Illinois.
Well, back to Michigan and Mitt Romney. I mean, he's the son of the governor. He went to high school there. Do you think what he said last week of trying to convince voters not to support Trump, that would be effective in Michigan?
I tend to doubt it. Mitt Romney has a very sort of limited core in Oakland County, where he grew up. His brother Scott still lives there. His niece is the Republican Party chair now in Michigan, but his influence is waning. In Michigan Republican politics, in part because he couldn't carry his home state in 2012, and frankly, he barely won the Michigan Republican primary 4 years ago here when Rick Santorum kind of came out of nowhere and gave him a pretty good run for his money. So, I mean, I think it has a limited. I think the people that appeals to, they were already not voting for Donald Trump on Tuesday.
Now, in last night's debate between Hillary and Comrade Bernie, both of them called on Governor Rick Snyder to resign. So will Governor Snyder be tendering his resignation today?
Probably not. Governor Snyder has shown no sign of quitting. This is a guy who's pretty determined to get this done and get this fixed. He has basically he's dedicating the rest of his term to this, to fixing Flint's lead contamination crisis, and I would highly doubt it. Now, interesting enough, Hillary Clinton voiced support for the recall campaigns. And there are a couple of recall petitions that have been approved It takes nearly 800,000 signatures to even get a governor recall on the ballot. It's a Herculean effort. So far, the Democratic Party, the establishment, Democrats, and politicians in Michigan have not even touched this thing because they know it could be millions and millions, maybe tens of millions of dollars to wage such a campaign. Democrats kind of privately would rather have Rick Snyder still in office because give him someone to kick around for a couple of years.
So you see that effort to depose Snyder as fizzling?
It doesn't seem like it. I mean, unless Hillary Clinton can marshal the money herself, and she could if she wanted to.
A few speeches,
that may have been just something to say in front of an audience in Flint, Michigan. But the big thing from last night's debate in the defining of these two candidates is Hillary Clinton came out and with that issue of Bernie Sanders voting against the Troubled Asset Release Program, the Wall Street bailout, TARP. He voted against the second wave of $350 billion in January of 2009. That was the money, the fund source that was used to bail out General Motors and Chrysler. So you hit him on this subject in Flint, Michigan, birthplace of General Motors. And it's a pretty significant issue here. And it's still, especially among the Democratic electorate, it's continued to be used to whip up Democratic votes against Republicans.
Yeah, but it was so funny. He looked so surprised. I mean, he should have expected that question.
He looked right, and I mean, he raised his arm and he almost shrugged, and then he tried to turn it back into the Wall Street banks and such. I mean, she labeled him a single issue candidate, and essentially tried to portray that his obsession with Wall Street banks and opposing them caused him to vote against the auto bailout. Suddenly, Bernie Sanders was in the same camp as Mitt Romney.
All right, he is Chad Livengood, political reporter for the Detroit News, DetroitNews.com. Also a graduate of Central Michigan University, the alma mater of a famous sports broadcaster. You know who that is, Amy?
Dan Marley? Dan Marley played basketball there.
Dan Marley did play basketball there with Dick Enberg.
Thank you.
He is
and
not
the Chippewas.
He is not a sports broadcaster.
Oh, I thought maybe he transitioned. I don't know who.
Chad Livengood, do you know who I'm referring to?
Dick Enberg.
Bingo. He knows. That's a Chippewa. Chad Livengood, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro Chippewa answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Dan Marley provided color for some basketball games. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's a great player. Today, it's going to be terrific if you like the warm weather. Spring-like conditions, really, because we're going to have showers in the afternoon, a high of 59 degrees. And tomorrow, cloudy, windy, warmer, a high of, get this, 67 degrees. Anything spectacular on the roadways? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Oh my, Amy and Dan, it's a mess on Chicago's north side. You have southbound Western Avenue closed from Roscoe to Belmont till tomorrow morning after the overpass demolition. One of the alternates, southbound California, well, it's a mess because on California at Belmont in the city of Chicago, the traffic lights are malfunctioning this morning at that intersection of Belmont, California and Elston. Edens is 22 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 20. The Kennedy, 35 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 42. The Eisenhower is now an hour, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 49 minutes, the crash at 17th, blocking 2 left lanes. Stevenson, 49 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, 23 minutes, 95 to downtown. And southbound Lakeshore Drive has delays from Lawrence to Belmont, where there's a crash in the left lane. Eastbound Adams Tollway at Sticky Bartlett to Roselle, an earlier crash is now gone. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Amy and Dan?
Stand by. Oh, Dan, look, it's got your name on it. Here you go, Dan. Have a good time with that.
If you're in business, you know the importance of communications. Telephony and internet services can mean success and profits. Chicago-based Innovative Networks is a complete provider of high-tech voice and data services that allow your phones and data to efficiently follow you anywhere, in the office or across the world. For companies of all sizes and industries, Innovative Networks provides state-of-the-art equipment, installation, and maintenance for a minimal monthly fee. Your company can enjoy the benefits of superior communications and greater profits. Innovative Networks is offering AM 560 listeners with a business this special deal. Pay $0 upfront plus up to 80% savings over the major providers. For your free business communication consultation, call Innovative Networks, an accredited and award-winning Better Business Bureau service provider, at 855-GO4-INET or visit go4inet.com. That's 855-GO4-INET. Innovative Networks, communication, technology, and reliability for Chicagoland businesses. 855-GO4-INET.
Hi, I'm Lex Howard, CEO of Balance of Nature. I occasionally take new customer calls, and often people tell me that they have been hearing our advertisements for years. What are you waiting for? Start now and begin experiencing the benefits of Balance of Nature in your life.
I'm going to tell you right now, and this is crazy. I just went to the dentist, and I had a tooth cleaning, and she's like amazed. She goes, "Your teeth are great." She goes, "I don't even need to be doing this work." And, and health-wise, heart-wise, stamina-wise, it's unbelievable. I just adore your products. I wish I could talk to everybody individually, give them my phone number and say, "If you don't believe me, call me up. I'll tell you. It's the best thing you ever did in your life."
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Hi, this is Shalom Klein of Get Down to Business, the show for small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship, powered by Tandem HR. The way you are buying your investments could be a major wealth leak, especially if you buy fee-heavy mutual funds. According to Everett Wealth Solutions, knowing just how much you are paying for your investments is crucial. Do your homework. Over a 30-year period of time, you could be losing $300,000 or more. That's money that should be in your retirement account, not the mutual fund company coffers. Everett says to consider robo-advising, a system that uses algorithms to invest in low-cost ETFs or exchange-transferred funds. You get intelligent, cost-effective design, which can improve performance and help eliminate expensive wealth leaks. Work with a fiduciary advisor who will educate you and recommend what is always in your best interest. For more tips, advice, and stories of entrepreneurial successes, listen to Get Down to Business with me, Shalom Klein, heard Sunday evenings at 6. Your Business Minute of the Day is brought to you by Everett Wealth Solutions.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, you know what's interesting about the debate last night, Amy, and thinking about that in the context of what happened Saturday and the discussion that we're having about Rubio's chances now that he was really kind of an also-ran on Saturday.
Well, he had a string of third-place finishes. Third is now the new first. Didn't you hear?
Yeah, good luck with that. But Trump in the debate, this is an underreported portion of the debate, post-debate coverage, because, of course, we're so focused on Trump's junk. But in the debate, he just did a 180 on immigration. That position on my website regarding H-1B visas for highly skilled workers, nah, I'm changing that. Megyn Kelly starts asking me, I'm changing that.
So what does that mean? What do you mean he's changing it? He's not going to.
He said, no, I'm going to be more supportive of the idea of H-1B visas if we can't find Americans to do kind of the high-skilled work that needs to be done in certain sectors, then I'm going to be more supportive of H-1B visas. So he moved.
We already had people, Polish immigrants who were here illegally working for him to build a Trump Tower.
Those weren't H-1B visas.
But they weren't. They were in a different class.
And that was 35 years ago. But so I mean that was the other thing he said was on Gang of Eight. Marco Rubio is explaining Gang of Eight and what he did and that legislation, and Trump runs cover for him. Says, well, I accept that explanation. That's that's negotiation. That's like what I'm talking about. You got to negotiate. You got to negotiate everything. Everything's negotiable. Well, wait a second.
Well, he does negotiates with Democratic and Republican politicians alike, and he donates to both, and he has in the past.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, for Trump supporters, was that unnerving to you at all? That he just kind of willy-nilly on the spot? Megyn Kelly's reading from his position on immigration as it pertains to H-1B visas from his website, and he just changes his position on the spot in the debate, and then he essentially gives Marco Rubio a pass on the Gang of Eight after having pilloried him for most of this campaign on the issue, just as other candidates have, and now he says, that's negotiation, and everything's negotiable. Maybe Trump turning to and giving you a little bit of telegraphing of what a general election Trump is going to sound like, and maybe turning to the general election a little bit too quickly. It seems to me voters peeled off both Rubio and Trump in Kansas. That's maybe not as unexpected. But in Kentucky and Louisiana, they definitely peeled off Rubio and to some extent, a much less significant extent, Trump to narrow those races. Yes, he won Louisiana. Yes, he won Kentucky.
But
yes,
not
he's still. Yes,
not
he's,
as had been projected.
well, right, not by the margins. And yes, he's still tracking well. He's obviously tracking well in Michigan. We just talked to Chad Liven, go to Detroit Press, about Trump's relatively strong position, it seems, in Michigan, with according to him, basically saying some of the other candidates are conceding Trump's victory there. And then we'll see what happens in, Idaho and Mississippi, where Trump also has a big lead, Hawaii, and then, focus on March 15th. But I just thought that was really an under-discussed portion of what happened at that debate, and I wonder if that factors into people's calculus about their support, because what happened on Saturday night was late breakers breaking for Cruz.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi there, it's me, Lou Manfredini. When I give home improvement advice, I take it seriously because it affects the value of your home. So I only recommend quality products. To replace drafty old windows and patio doors that stick, there's Marvin Windows and Doors. They're built around you. Every Marvin window and door is made to order using the finest materials and craftsmanship. There's value in that. Get more styles and options. Increase your home's curb appeal. Bring the outdoors in. And Marvin Windows and Doors are energy efficient to help lower your heating and cooling bills. In fact, they have over 150,000 window and door products that are Energy Star certified. For serious advice on how Marvin Windows and Doors can work for your remodeling or replacement project, contact your local Marvin retailer.
Midwest Siding at 847-979-8230 for quality Marvin windows and doors. Or visit them online at MidwestSiding.com. Call them about your project today. 847-979-8230.
If medications haven't helped you treat your depression, why haven't you tried TMS therapy offered by Thermamind? Now there's a way to successfully treat your depression without the need for meds and their harmful side effects. TMS therapy is covered by most insurance, including Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois and Medicare. So don't continue to suffer needlessly. Call Thermamind, and you can call them at 847-562-5868. The single greatest advancement to date in treating depression is TMS, an FDA-cleared, non-drug, safe, and effective treatment. TMS has already changed the lives of over 50,000 patients, so why not you? Visit them today at tmsmind.com. That's tmsmind.com. And again, it's covered by most insurance, including Blue Cross Blue Shield and Medicare. Depression can be beaten without drugs. Call Thermamind now, 847-562-5868. That's 847-562-5868, or go to tmsmind.com. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we'll talk to Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat from Hawaii, about leaving the DNC to support Comrade Bernie. That's at 7:37.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, funeral arrangements for Nancy Reagan are underway. The former First Lady will be buried next to her late husband, former President Ronald Reagan. The 94-year-old died yesterday morning at her California home. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton says the U.S. needs to do more to reduce gun violence in America.
Giving immunity to gun makers and sellers was a terrible mistake because it removed any accountability from the makers and the sellers.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders telling the CNN debate audience people who should not have guns should not be able to buy them.
But if they are selling a product to a person who buys it legally, what you're really talking about is ending gun manufacturing in America. I don't agree with that.
Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Clinton, and Sanders all chalking up more wins on what's being called Super Saturday election contest held in Kansas, Nebraska, Maine, Kentucky, and Louisiana. And afterward, Donald Trump called on Rubio to drop out of the race.
Marco Rubio had a very, very bad night. And personally, I'd call for him to drop out of the race. I think it's time now that he drop out of the race. I really think so.
Rubio, however, picked up a win in Puerto Rico's Republican primary. The next voting takes place tomorrow in Michigan and Mississippi. Authorities in Tunisia say 26 have been killed in clashes between police and an unidentified gunman near the Libyan border. 2 are dead in California after a weekend of strong storms that slammed the state, forcing low-lying areas and forcing floodwaters into low-lying areas. Former President Jimmy Carter says he no longer needs treatment for cancer. The 91-year-old announcing the good news yesterday. Peyton Manning calling it quits. The Denver quarterback will make that announcement official today after helping the Broncos win Super Bowl 50. Chicago School will remember former First Lady Nancy Reagan. The Latin School for Girls on the Near North Side had Nancy Reagan as a graduate in 1939. If you watch a lot of television in this state, you're going to see plenty of anti-Donald Trump ads. The New York Times says Club for Growth has spent nearly $2 million on advertising ahead of the March 15th Illinois primary. Chicago sports, Blackhawks over Detroit 4-1. College hoops, Penn State topped the Fighting Illini 86-79 in double overtime. Northwestern wins 20 games for the first time ever, and a 65-54 win over Nebraska sealed that win, and a number 9 seed in the Big Ten tournament. They'll take on the 8 seed Michigan Thursday at noon. The news service of Whole Foods Market this week at Whole Foods Market. Save on fresh asparagus, just $2.49 per pound through this Tuesday. And get organic whole tray bell peppers for just $2.99 per pound. Stock up and save today at Whole Foods Market, America's healthiest grocery store. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
America right now is better off than it's ever been. Man, if I thought that, I wouldn't fight.
The Joe Walsh Show.
52% of young people would do away with the First Amendment. We have people being fined and threatened with jail time for exercising their religious freedom. Yes, I am a pessimist, but that's why I fight.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
The Chicago Wolves host Milwaukee Saturday at 7, part of the Amtrak rivalry. The first 5,000 fans will get a Wolves fleece blanket presented by Kia. Visit ChicagoWolves.com.
This is Sandy Rios for Illinois Families First. For many years as a Wheaton resident, I supported my friend Congressman Peter Roskam. Peter was a pro-life conservative who made me very proud. But right now, I can't support him. We are $19 trillion in debt. Yet in November, Peter voted for a $1.1 trillion budget that fulfilled every wish President Obama desired. Funding for Planned Parenthood was increased. No restrictions on Obama's illegal executive amnesty. No restraints on his plan to bring in thousands of unvetted Muslim refugees. Congress has the power of the purse, yet Peter Roskam and the Republican leadership gave up their only means of restraint, and worse, called it good. We are on the brink of losing our country. The time for games is over. On March 15th, send a message. Elect Jay Kensler as your new conservative congressman in the 6th District.
Paid for by Illinois Families First, a federal political committee, and not authorized by or coordinated with any candidate or candidates committee.
7:37 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the northbound Veterans Memorial Tollway, the exit to Lake Street is closed right now due to a car fire. Eden's inbound 22 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose outbound 20. The Kennedy 43 minutes, O'Hare to downtown outbound 47. The Eisenhower's an hour from Thorndale to the Loop outbound 53 minutes after a crash at 17th. Stevenson 49 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Rhine is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive is Jan Foster to Belmont with a crash in the 2 left lanes. And traffic is a service of Jewel Osco. This week, Jewel has 1-pound packages of strawberries for just 99 cents each. Fresh, boneless, skinless, chicken breasts or thighs, value packs for $1.77 a pound. And a gallon of 1%, 2% skim or whole Lucerne milk is just $1.99. Limit 2. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Jim in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center, and the Chicago Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy and breezy later today with a brief shower, high 59. Breezy and mild overnight, low 52. Partly sunny and 47 right now. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth. Tune in Saturday afternoons at 2 for Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth.
Coming up next, it's me, Mike Gallagher, right after Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, over the weekend, interesting interview with Jim Webb, of course, Naval Academy grad, served our country honorably in the U.S. military, and
short-time Democratic candidate for president.
Yeah, he was Democrat senator from Virginia. He had this to say when he was asked the question whether or not he'll be voting for Hillary if she's the nominee in the general election.
I'm not supporting anybody right now.
Would you vote for Hillary Clinton?
No, I would not vote for Hillary Clinton.
Would you vote for Donald Trump?
I'm not sure yet. I don't know who I'm going to vote for.
No, but not Hillary Clinton.
No, I don't. And this is nothing personal about Hillary Clinton, but I think the reason that Donald Trump is getting so much support right now is not because of the racists, et cetera, et cetera. It's because people are seeing him. A certain group of people are seeing him as the only one who has the courage to step forward and say, we've got to clean out the stables of the American governmental system right now. We've got to make it work. And if you're voting for Donald Trump, you may get something very good or very bad. If you're voting for Hillary Clinton, you're going to be getting the same thing. Do you want the same thing? 6% of the people in the country maybe want the same thing.
Interesting analysis from Jim Webb. Do you want the same thing, or do you want to roll the dice, potentially come up snake eyes, but roll the dice nonetheless? Webb, a bit of an independent thinking Democrat. Mm-hmm. So is our next guest, who hails from my favorite place on the planet.
Hawaii.
I love Hawaii.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I wanted to buy Lanai, but
did you not have enough money?
Larry Ellison beat me to the punch, and I was a few $1 billion short as well. Our next guest, Representative Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat from Hawaii's 2nd District, who served our country honorably in the military as well, 2 combat tours in Iraq. Representative Gabbard, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Aloha, Dan and Amy. Great to join you. And I wish I knew you were interested in Lanai, Dan. I could have put in a good word or something.
Yeah, well, maybe
next time.
Well, maybe Ellison will, let me build a little resort or something there when I come up with the requisite capital. But Representative Gabbard, so you heard what Jim Webb had to say, not just about Hillary, but also about kind of the Trump phenomenon. Is that an assessment with which you concur?
Well, there's no question the deep sense of frustration that people have with government and just with that feeling of the system being rigged against the vast majority of Americans who are really working hard and struggling just to get by and put food on the table and take care of their families. So I think, when you're seeing all of the differences in this election cycle, I think you're seeing the voices of a lot of people trying to break through that.
How was Debbie Wasserman Schultz when you decided to resign your position to support Bernie Sanders? Did she understand it? And was it a face-to-face meeting, a phone call, email, text?
No, it was an email, and she was very gracious, both to me personally as well as publicly. My decision to resign from the DNC really had only to do with one thing, and that was my feeling that this issue of war and peace is the core issue for our decision as Americans to choose our next president, to choose our next commander-in-chief, and it's just not being talked about enough. There are some very drastic differences, and there is a very clear choice between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders on our Democratic ticket, and I felt so strongly that I could not stand on the sidelines and remain neutral with so much at stake. I am about 13 years serving in the Hawaii Army National Guard, as you mentioned, 2 deployments to the Middle East, and I've seen firsthand the cost of war. I served in a medical unit during my first deployment to Iraq in 2005, and unfortunately it was a very difficult time when we took a lot of casualties. And so it's critical to me that the American people, as they head state by state into these primaries, that they're informed about the differences between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders.
And you have specifically said essentially that you believe Bernie Sanders will exercise more judiciousness with the use of military force than will Hillary Clinton, who is more likely to get us into interventionist regime change conflicts.
That's exactly right, Dan. And, both of them have records, and the records show this, as well as the current positions that they've taken on the present-day regime change war that's being waged right now by the United States and Saudi Arabia and Turkey in Syria. Bernie Sanders has come out in opposition to this regime change war. He has come out in opposition to a so-called no-fly zone, which would have disastrous consequences. We saw what happened when Hillary Clinton, who was the architect behind the military overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya, who put in a no-fly zone there. We see a complete failed nation, chaos, thousands and thousands of lives lost, and now ISIS has a stronghold there. Well, if you take what she would like to do in Syria, which is the opposite of what Bernie Sanders is advocating for, she would like to continue this regime change war, and she is saying that she would put this no-fly zone in place, which would pit the United States directly in conflict with Russia. Now, if you remember that the U.S. and Russia are the only two countries in the world right now with nuclear weapons and missiles pointed at each other still, just a trigger pull away, you can really begin to think about the gravity of the situation. High cost not only to our countries but to the world.
Now, when Donald Trump during the last debate said about ordering the rank and file military to commit war crimes, and he told Brett Barrett, "Oh, they won't refuse me. They're not going to refuse me. Believe me." And there's been some pushback. Were you surprised at all by what Donald Trump said?
I was. The military that I'm proud to serve in is a military of integrity and honor, and I serve with the best among our nation's sons and daughters, and I'm proud to wear that uniform, and I know that those values that exist within our military will persevere.
Yeah, now Trump, just a kind of a note on that, he did walk that back in with a statement after the fact, but yeah, in the moment it was a rather disturbing statement, and one
sounded like a dictator.
Well, it just, Representative Gabbard, we got a lot of calls on it too from active duty military. Obviously, they are more familiar with the inadequacy of the Nuremberg defense than is Donald Trump, and they are not going to just follow orders to commit crimes. So, yeah, that was an interesting moment. And speaking of Trump and the Republican side, I know you're on the other side, but your Republican caucus tomorrow in Hawaii, what do you expect to come out of the Republican caucus?
That's a great question, and I don't know the answer to it. I think that just like across the country, I think we're in for some surprises. Hawaii is a very unique and special place, as you know, with a lot of diverse opinions and ideas. So I'll be watching and listening closely to see how that works out as well.
And one of the other topics of discussion, just as it pertains to military and national security policy, Republicans have spent a lot of time during their debates talking about the need to essentially rebuild the military, that there needs to be reinvestments in technology as well as the weapons of war. Is that a position you subscribe to as well?
Yeah, Dan, it is. And I'll tell you two reasons why. And the first is directly related to this election and the choice that I talked about, because the more we continue these interventionist regime change wars, the more of our American treasure, American taxpayer dollars will continue to be thrown into other countries, into these wars, into nation building in other countries, rather than securing our country and making sure that our own military is ready and strong, and nation building here at home, investing in infrastructure here at home. These are both critical and important things, and things that have carried the burden of our going into these continued interventionist wars for at least over a decade now. The toll that our service members have carried themselves and their military families is so extremely high, and unfortunately, it's not talked about often enough. The levels of readiness, the reduced troop strength numbers. What happens when this occurs is, the threats around the world are not diminishing, unfortunately. As ISIS and Al-Qaeda and other Islamist terrorist groups continue to spread their presence and to grow in different places, we're seeing different kinds of challenges. We've got to make sure that our military is ready, that they're trained, and that we're able to deal with that type of unconventional threat, just as we need to be ready to deal with the threat coming from North Korea's continued increased nuclear and intercontinental ballistic missile capabilities. Hawaii. I'll just mention one. This is personal for us because every time North Korea threatens the United States or conducts one of their missile tests, Hawaii is squarely within range and within North Korea's target when they do that. So this isn't some far out, theory. This is something that is actually a reality that we've got to have the capabilities to be able to defend our nation and our homeland again.
That's a good point. We're talking to Congressman Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat from Hawaii's 2nd District. And so, Representative Gabbard, I got to ask you the Jim Webb question. If your guy, Bernie, doesn't make it through to the nomination, are you...
Bernie's going to make it through, Dan.
Well, just hypothetically, if he doesn't.
Play the old contingency game, right?
Yeah,
are you going to support Hillary?
Well, I'm not going to play the contingency game. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Okay.
Right now, I am seriously focused. I'm getting on a plane in a couple hours to go and join Bernie Sanders and his team in Michigan. They've got their vote coming up tomorrow because I think that the stakes are too high and people need to be informed about the cost of these wars and the differences between our candidates so they can make a choice between more wars or taking a path towards peace.
Is he excited that you decided to quit your position at the DNC?
Well, I think he was excited to have me join his team.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. So, and you'll cross the bridge over River Kwai come the general election, perhaps. Representative Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat from Hawaii's 2nd District, thanks so much for joining us. Aloha.
Thank you both.
Mahalo.
Have a great day. Aloha. Yep. Mahalo to you.
Thanks. And she joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Looking pretty nice out there. Sunshine, warm conditions, and it's
I think Tulsi Gabbard may be starting the Never Hillary hashtag campaign.
Oh,
with
really?
Jim Webb.
Oh. Well, spectacular today. A high near 60 degrees and even warmer tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have clouds, wind, warm, a high of 67. Also today, travel times, I don't know if they're high now, but on the way home you're going to experience some rain, so prepare yourselves. Here's Jim Talamonte with the travel times.
Thanks, Amy. It's getting heavier in areas including southbound Lakeshore Drive with a crash at Belmont blocking 2 left lanes, 35 minutes and rising from Hollywood to Monroe. Kennedy, 45 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound the same. The Edens, 20 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 22. The Eisenhower runs an hour either way between Thorndale and downtown. There's an outbound crash at 17th, now on the right side. Stevenson, 54 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. It's good outbound. Ryan, 30 minutes. 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State. It's a little 75th to 47th. And from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway, stop and go Beverly to Roselle. Veterans Memorial, very slow on the northbound side. 75th to the Reagan Tollway. Then St. Charles to Lake, where the exit ramp is blocked with a car fire. And southbound, there's a Gapers delay, 290 to Lake. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Do something to yourself. Treat yourself to a MyPillow. Now, there are many of you who have procrastinated, but don't put it off any longer. MyPillow is a premium pillow with 4 different loft levels that's customized to your individual preference. And for our listeners who use the promo code Amy, guess what? You'll still get 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. It's MyPillow's best offer, and it's so important to get a great night's sleep. You'll wake up feeling refreshed, ready to tackle your day. And if you have problems with snoring, if you have headaches, neck pain, insomnia, allergies, you should be sleeping on a MyPillow. It's washable. It keeps its shape to give you support where you need it most. That's why it's the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. American-made, tens of thousands of pillows sold, and tens of thousands of satisfied customers. And you could be one, too, simply by going to MyPillow.com. Amy in that promo code. Do it now or call 800-489-0201. That's 800-489-0201. Or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Republican Michelle Moore is an active member of her church who spends her Tuesday afternoons teaching children our shared values at catechism class. You don't see that much in politics, but Michelle Moore is not your average candidate. Michelle Moore teaches ethics and morals to our children because she believes we need to do the right thing at home, at work, and in public, especially in government. Michelle Moore will bring that honesty and integrity to the DuPage County Board. Michelle Moore is a fiscal conservative who believes we need to cut property taxes. Michelle Moore will work with DuPage County Board Chairman Dan Cronin for accountability, consolidation, and transparency. Michelle Moore will attack the problems of government with the same fervor she brought to felony prosecutions as an assistant DuPage County State's Attorney. Republican Michelle Moore is exactly what we want and need in DuPage County government. Please vote for Republican Michelle Moore on March 15th.
Paid for by Citizens for Michelle Moore.
Congratulations to all who took the Balance of Nature New Year's Challenge. Success stories are pouring in. So many people have been helped through this incentive that I have asked Balance of Nature to continue this challenge for as long as possible.
I do feel slightly better. I can't explain it. It's like underlying. I can't explain it. I broke my leg twice, my left leg, and it used to bother me, but now it's not bothering me that much. I mean, you know, I also bowl on Friday nights. I mean, it used to kill me, but now I find that I could do that and without being in any discomfort.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
One argument people make for green energy is that sources like wind and solar are free and forever. But the reality is utilizing sunlight and wind isn't free or automatic. It's not like you can put your iPhone out in the sun and expect it to charge. Using any natural resource requires expensive technology, machinery, and infrastructure. Like any other piece of technology, a windmill or solar panel requires ongoing cleaning, maintenance, and servicing. Sunlight and wind are, in fact, far more expensive to exploit than fossil fuels, which is why they've never achieved significant market penetration. Expensive and temporary doesn't quite have the marketing ring of free and forever, but it's a much more accurate description of green energy. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brook Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
Looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, then you need to do what Amy did and call David Hochberg at Pearl Mortgage. Ira wanted to refinance his 7% loan, so he asked his parents, and they said the only lender they trusted was David. Ira then asked his coworkers for their recommendation, and they all recommended David. Ira was in a cab and heard David's ads, and the cabbie started laughing and said to Ira, "I love this guy." Ira asked why, and the cabbie said he helped him, lots of his friends, and David cares about his clients. So based upon his parents, his coworkers, and more importantly, his cabbie's recommendation, Ira finally called David to refinance. If your interest rate starts with a 4 and you would like to see if you can lower your rate with little and possibly no closing costs, do what Amy did and call David now, 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. David's helped Amy and Ira and thousands of AM560 listeners, but he can't help you if you don't call 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee 4358, NMLS 19186.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Do no harm.
It's an oath every doctor takes, and Dr. Nick Stella takes that oath very seriously.
Do no harm.
Obamacare is a disaster. Dr. Stella will fight to put healthcare decisions back into the hands of patients and doctors.
Do no harm.
With the threat of terrorism becoming an everyday reality, Dr. Stella will make national security a priority. And instead of arguing about problems, he'll focus on solutions.
Do no harm.
For too long, politics as usual has invaded Congress. As a practicing cardiologist, Dr. Stella's focus is for positive outcomes, an idea that's been lost in Washington. Washington insiders have failed us on all levels: the economy, jobs, national security, healthcare. Dr. Nick Stella has spent his career helping people improve their lives. Dr. Nick Stella will be the outsider voice we need in Congress. Dr. Nick Stella, Republican for Congress.
I'm Dr. Nick Stella, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Stella for Congress, Inc.
If you want to work until you drop, reduce your standard of living in retirement, or lose more of your hard-earned money in the stock market, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to generate a steady, predictable income, I'm talking real wealth and financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. A free report is now available that reveals the money-making secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. It reveals how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your money in the Wall Street casino. To get your free special report, visit bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Are Republicans deluding themselves that they could stop Trump at the convention? We'll ask James Rosen, Chief Washington correspondent for Fox News, at 8:08.
And then at 8:38, remembering Nancy Reagan and her close ties to Chicago. But first, let's go into the newsroom and say hello once again to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a state representative is accused of buying votes ahead of the state's primary. Chicago High School is remembering the former First Lady after her death. And anti-Trump television ads airing statewide this week. Cloudy and breezy ahead today. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Can Puerto Rico give Marco Rubio a boost?
I got over 70% of the vote.
And all the 23 Republican delegates there yesterday.
Not because I became less conservative, but because I took our conservative principles to people who are living the way I grew up.
But Rubio is still far behind Donald Trump and Ted Cruz.
Tomorrow, 150 Republican delegates are up for grabs in 4 states: Hawaii, Idaho, Mississippi, and Michigan. Michigan is the biggest prize with 59 Republican delegates on the line. The latest polls give Trump a commanding lead in that state. He's up 19 points, according to an NBC News Wall Street Journal poll.
Now, Hillary Clinton has a 19-point lead over Bernie Sanders in that same poll, 17 points rather, among Michigan Democrats. Sanders won the main caucuses yesterday. The two debated last night on CNN.
I'll be happy to release anything I have as long as everybody else does too.
Well, I'm your Democratic opponent. I release it. Here it is. There ain't nothing. I don't give speeches to Wall Street for hundreds of thousands of dollars. You got it.
A Republican in Congress is worried the Navy SEALs may be underarmed. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, California Congressman Duncan Hunter says Navy SEALs have been telling him they don't have enough combat rifles to go around. He claims when members of the elite fighting force come home from deployment, the rifles are given to other commandos who are shipping out. A top officer at U.S. Special Operations Command in Tampa, Florida, says the military is looking into the complaints. Congressman Hunter is a former Marine who served 3 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. Dave.
Rachel, we're still awaiting funeral arrangements for Nancy Reagan.
What you saw on the screen is what they were off. There was nothing fake about it.
Frank Thorwald was a former aide to President Reagan. Political leaders worldwide have praised the former First Lady for her devotion to her husband, preserving his legacy. She was 94. Ray Tomlinson also died over the weekend. He was an email pioneer, credited with using the @ symbol as a way to direct a message back in the early 70s. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Clouds and sun, 47 degrees. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Elected officials and community leaders in this state remembering the former First Lady Nancy Reagan for her strength and her anti-drug advocacy work. The Illinois Republican Party Chairman Tim Schneider says Reagan represented the best of America, and a Chicago high school is remembering the former First Lady as well. After moving to Chicago as a young girl, she graduated from the Latin School for Girls on the Near North Side in 1939. Bill Clinton expected to be in the Chicago area tomorrow campaigning for his wife. Officials say the former president will be visiting to give a speech on early voting in this state. An off-duty Indiana police officer is recovering after he was stabbed at a Far South Side auto pound. Officials say the victim got into an altercation with a person early this morning working as a security guard at the city-owned pound. He was hospitalized with multiple stab wounds to his head and upper body. An investigation is underway after an inmate at the Lake County Jail died. David Butterfield was discovered unresponsive in a medical unit cell. He was brought in for treatment after saying he fell ill from drug withdrawal symptoms. An autopsy later determined he died of natural causes. State Representative Ken Duncan's campaign is coming under fire after allegations of voter fraud. Alderman Pat Dowell and Secretary of State Jesse White held a Chicago press conference accusing the Democrat of buying votes.
We cannot have the sanctity of voting broken by a desperate and unethical candidate who is seeking to do everything that he can to win an election.
Duncan, the incumbent, waved off the charges. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office says they are looking into the matter. Chicago sports, Blackhawks over Detroit 4-1. College hoops, Penn State topped the Fighting Illini 86-79, while Northwestern won their 20th hoops win over Nebraska 65-54. Big news out of Champaign. Lovie Smith, the former Bears coach, is about to become the new head football coach for the Fighting Illini. The news service of Whole Foods Market. This week at Whole Foods Market, save on fresh asparagus. $2.49 per pound through this Tuesday, and get organic whole tray bell peppers for just $2.99 per pound. Stock up and save today at Whole Foods Market, America's healthiest grocery store. 8:04, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Turnkey.pro. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Jenny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, your Mac computer could have been hacked by ransomware. Security firm Palo Alto Networks says the first attack of its kind against Apple's operating system has been discovered. It's called KeyRanger. It steals your files and data, encrypts it, then asks you to pay money to get it back. Amazon has changed its mind, and you will be allowed to encrypt information stored on its Fire tablets. A full encryption option will be offered in a Fire software update this spring. Though Amazon previously said people were not using the service, the Apple debate about encryption prompted Amazon to offer it again. Drama in the chemical business. DuPont is planning to merge with Dow Chemical, but now the Financial Times says German chemical giant BASF might make an offer for Dow. The Dow and the S&P finished last week at the highest levels in 2 months. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather coming up next on AM 560.
You don't win by accident.
It's the Dave Ramsey Show.
So this is your year to win. You don't get out of debt. You don't save your marriage by accident. You don't increase the quality of your marriage by accident. You don't raise great kids accidentally. These are intentional acts that you make choices on the variables in your environment, and you form and control your life.
Make the most of your money and get out of debt. He's Dave Ramsey, tonight at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a free domain with website from GoDaddy.com, starting at $1 a month. Annual purchase of website builder required. Price valid first year only. See website for details.
If you want to work until you drop, reduce your standard of living in retirement, or lose more of your hard-earned money in the stock market, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to generate a steady, predictable income, I'm talking real wealth and financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. A free report is now available that reveals the money-making secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. It reveals how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your money in the Wall Street casino. To get your free special report, visit bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com.
8:07 in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The northbound Veterans Memorial Tollway has heavy delays to the Boughton Toll Plaza most of the way to Lake Street, where the right lane and exit ramp are blocked after an earlier car fire. Edens runs 20 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 26. The Kennedy, 44 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 51. The Eisenhower is an hour and 2 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 59 minutes. Stevenson, 54 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 39. Ryan, 30 minutes. 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive.
Traffic is stop and go from around Bryn Mawr to Belmont after a crash. Northbound slow 18th to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State delays 87th to 47th. The Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. It's about Adams Tollway stop and go Higgins to 53. Traffic answers when you need them most. On Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Holly Holdren.
Cloudy and breezy today, brief shower or two, high 59. Cloudy, breezy, and mild tonight, low 52. Cloudy, windy, and warmer tomorrow with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon, high 67. I'm Holly Holdren on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 47, partly sunny at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by RadioPlumbingDeals.com. Have a plumbing problem? Get the best plumbers in Chicagoland and massive discounts at RadioPlumbingDeals.com.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
Say yes to your life. And when it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
And I want to congratulate Ted on Maine and on Kansas, and he should do well in Maine because it's very close to Canada, let's face it. I mean...
Well, if you are talking about the Wall Street bailout, where some of your friends destroyed this economy... Excuse me, I'm talking.
Let him sprung.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Thanks for the memory of happiness and heart, of humor, sweet and tart, of jokes that bite and shed some light, even when they smart. We thank you so much.
Do you know who was singing that, Amy?
Nancy Reagan.
That is Nancy Reagan.
To Bob Hope on his 85th birthday.
Serenading Bob Hope. That is correct.
She's a great singer, but she's an actress. You know, she's been on the stage before.
Indeed. Another great artist in his own right. We've had him on the show before where he has given impressions such as Donald Trump.
The Donald Trump impersonation.
Right.
Yeah, that was huge.
Straight out of Rockford, he is James Rosen, Chief Washington Correspondent for Fox News. James, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Dan and Amy, great to be back with you.
So is all this talk of a brokered convention by John Kasich, now Marco Rubio almost has to have the same kind of line of attack, is it so much wishful thinking from Beltway GOP elites, or is it something that is actually possible?
Well, the segment of the Beltway GOP, or just the Beltway elites, we should say, which most fervently engages in fantasizing in scenarios about brokered conventions would be my world, the news media, because we are desperate to cover in our lifetimes a convention where the outcome wouldn't be foreordained, something that used to be quite common, but which ended around 1968. And, of course, we're also obligated to pass along the admonition of the Republican National Committee Chairman, Reince Priebus, who tells us there would not be, even if this came to pass, which it doesn't look likely, anything like a brokered convention. He objects to the use of the word brokered because the people who used to do the brokering in back rooms have been written out of existence by RNC rules. He prefers the term contested convention. Now, with that bit of methodological throat clearing behind us, I would say that one can easily understand why certain candidates are talking about it, but it should reflect to any objective observer a certain desperation when your chief strategy lies not in securing the nomination for oneself, but in depriving it from another candidate's hands.
So if Trump loses both Ohio and Florida, and Ohio goes to Kasich, Florida goes to Rubio, then we will have a contested convention, correct?
The math would make it. The math would make that more likely, but I'm not sure what the evidence is for believing that Rubio would win Florida necessarily. The RealClearPolitics.com average of major reliable polls for the state, even accounting for the fact that statewide polling can be unreliable in certain states, Florida shows on the Real Clear Politics average Trump up by something like 18 points. But I don't think we'll see a contested convention, but if we do, boy, would that be fun.
Oh, well, let's play another scenario since we're playing fantasy electoral politics here. If Trump wins Florida and Ohio and clears the race to Trump and Ted Cruz, what is the conventional wisdom, such as it is inside the Beltway, about how that plays itself out?
About how what plays itself out?
Cruz versus Trump.
Well, that's the vision that the Cruz campaign, of course, has most forcefully advocated. The idea that this will come down to a two-man race between Trump and Cruz. And it's been interesting because, as we saw for a good 8 months, Ted Cruz treated Donald Trump with kid gloves, right? And where the rest of the GOP field was struggling to derail Trump's momentum and question his conservative bona fides, Cruz repeatedly thanked Donald Trump, no matter what he had said, for raising the right issues, and in essence gave him conservative political cover for 8 months, which he now seeks to deny Donald Trump by saying that he's given checks to Hillary Clinton and so forth, and that he's not a real conservative. If the whole dynamic of this electoral cycle is being driven by a preference for an outsider, we would have to imagine that, as strange a contest as that would be, it would be the Manhattan billionaire real estate developer who would get to play the role of the outsider, the one who vacations in Palm Beach, against Ted Cruz, who, after all, is, despite his disagreements with his own leadership in the Senate, a member of the United States Senate. But I recoil from predictions because, of course, that's not what I do.
Yeah. Well, Marco Rubio, what do you think happened to him? He had a string of third-place finishes on Saturday. He did win Puerto Rico last night, so that was good. That's 20 delegates. But what do you think happened? Why did he was so hell-bent on winning second place in all these primaries and caucuses, and it didn't happen?
Well, it's a crowded field that he competed in, and of course, I do believe that Trump is a singular figure. And Trump is someone who, his entire life, people have been saying to him, "You'll never be as big in real estate as your father was. You'll never put that building there. You'll never operate in Country X. You'll never appeal to a mass audience for a network television show." And yet he finds ways to win, as repellent as many people find him. And Rubio is a talented politician, and I think by all accounts very bright, but generally speaking a good debater and a good TV performer, if you will. But he is not only competing in a crowded field, but one that involves this singular force of nature in Donald Trump. It is all we can say so far on the basis of the results we have in hand is that Rubio appealed more to a certain donor class than he did to the electorate in this cycle, at least in this strange and quite possibly unique cycle.
And to be fair, I mean, Trump did something that Illinois voters couldn't bring themselves to do. He fired Blagojevich. He fired Blagojevich off Celebrity Apprentice.
Oh, that's right.
We couldn't fire Blagojevich here. We elected him twice. So, I mean, Trump's ahead of the learning curve. Was ahead of the learning curve on Blagojevich, too.
It's not a key point of his campaign rhetoric. But,
in Illinois, it's pretty important.
It may be when he comes to Chicago this week. But James, let me ask you the question on the other side. I watched your colleague Chris Wallace's show on Sunday, and the panel seemed to suggest that Democrats don't have any plan B, even as the email matter continues to dog Hillary Clinton, even with Loretta Lynch being tight-lipped about where the investigation may go, Jim Comey being tight-lipped about where the investigation may go, other than senior FBI officials seeming to indicate it should be done by May. No plan B for the Democrats. They think this is just a side issue that will be cleared up and not be a problem for Hillary Clinton as the nominee. Do you hear any Beltway chatter to the contrary?
No, what I hear in those precincts is that the kind of backfields in motion that we would expect to see occurring if there were some plan B for someone to jump in and take the place of Hillary Clinton in such an event, that those backfields are not in motion, like that there are known figures for, let's say, Joe Biden, who are his political people, on whose parts certain activity would be visible to certain people. And what I'm hearing is there is no evidence of such activity there or in John Kerry's political circles and so forth. But all that said, this is a very serious investigation. There's a number of things we can talk about that that are publicly visible and discernible about this investigation, which speak to its seriousness. The most recent of which, of course, is the provision of immunity to one of the witnesses.
Well, she said on CBS News yesterday that she's delighted.
Yeah,
by that.
She's ecstatic over it.
Yeah, Brian, he received immunity. Oh, this is wonderful.
There are many paths to delight,
yeah.
but I'm not sure that's one of them for anyone, even for Hillary Clinton. But I think that it is a very serious investigation, and one of the ways we know that it's serious, and in addition to the provision of immunity, is the fact that Hillary Clinton herself confirmed on the air to my colleague Jake Tapper from CNN about a month or so ago that she had not yet been interviewed by the FBI. And it seems to me that if this were all much ado about nothing, if it were not a very serious investigation, if it were going to be wrapped up in some pro forma way with no chance for action ensuing from it, they probably would have had Hillary Clinton in for a "Hi, how are you? What's your favorite color?" chat some time ago, just to dispose of it. And the fact that they have yet to even get to that point suggests to me that great care is being taken in the construction of the various building blocks of an investigation.
Yeah, I think that's a good insight. James Rosen, Chief Washington Correspondent for Fox News. James, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure.
And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Your phone calls coming up. Grab a line, 312-642-5600 is our Turnkey.pro answer line. Beautiful out right now. There's plenty of sunshine, but we will have a shower rolling through here about rush hour. A high today of 59 degrees, and even better tomorrow, cloudy, windy, no rain, but very warm, a high near 70 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Inbound Kennedy at Costner. There's a crash in the left lane. 44 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 51. Edens is 20 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 26. Eisenhower an hour and 2 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. 46 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 53 to Thorndale. Stevenson 54 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 39. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, very slow Bryn Mawr to Belmont after a crash. Northbound slow 18th to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State delays 87th to 47th from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Adams Tollway slow eastbound Higgins to 53 and Bussey to the Des Plaines Oasis. Westbound Lee to Elmhurst Road with a crash in the left lane. I'm Jim Talamonte, the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Imagine working with a realtor who has many times the buyers lined up that the average agent does, sells more than 300 homes a year. You can just call Saul Z and the Z team, who guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to. 29 days pass without a sale, Saul will buy it or help you rent it. You won't be obligated. If you aren't happy, Saul lets you out of the contract. Saul is so confident in selling your home because he has the most advanced marketing system for a faster sale at a great price. For example, after unsuccessfully listing his 2-unit building in Jefferson Park with another agent, and watching it sit unsold, Bruce heard about Saul Z and the Z team on Sean Hannity. Saul showed Bruce his marketing plan, and Bruce listed with Saul for $495,000. Saul brought Bruce 2 offers in the first 5 days and sold it for $490,000. The Wall Street Journal ranks Saul number 106 of more than 1.2 million agents because his team sells many more homes than the national average. That's why I'll be calling Saul when I'm ready to sell my well-appointed condo or buy a new palatial estate. So go to callsaul.net. That's callsaul.net. To find out what your home's worth, or call Saul directly at 888-346-0666. That's 888-346-0666, and start packing.
CertaPro are the experts in exterior painting, but now is the perfect time to paint your interior. Refresh and renew your living space and escape the winter doldrums. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I've used CertaPro several times to paint my home. They're fast, efficient, clean, so quiet I didn't even know they were there. CertaPro is easy to work with. Your life won't be disrupted by messy, inconsiderate contractors. They will move the furniture, and when they finish, they will move it back. With their color specialist, CertaPro takes the stress out of choosing the perfect color. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life. Call CertaPro today at 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's Certa with a C. And book your winter painting project. Schedule your free estimate today. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so
what are the delegate totals?
According to RCP, it's 384 to 300 to 151, with your guy Rubio 151 and out of the race. And
hey, easy. Just ease me into this, all right?
Well, there's a push.
I hate change.
There's a push to consolidate around Cruz by some conservatives who had actually previously endorsed Rubio, like the guys over at Red State, because it's got to happen in terms of stopping Trump before March 15th, or it ain't going to happen. So the question is, time to rally around Cruz. Can Cruz stop Trump one-on-one? He says so.
The only way to beat Donald Trump is for us to continue to unite. If we stand together as one, Donald has a ceiling, I think, of about 20 to 25%. Or rather a floor of 20 to 25%. But he's got a hard ceiling, I believe, of 35 to 40%. Donald is benefited by multiple opponents in this race because if the opposition to him is divided, it lets him win states with a plurality of 35, 37%.
And so you know the argument, but that's the argument that Cruz is making.
And it's worth reminding voters.
Well, right, and since his performance on Saturday, which was beat street estimates, as it were, winning Kansas, winning Maine, narrowly losing Kentucky and Louisiana, it seemed, and just the delegate count I just mentioned,
right?
Rubio has a pretty tough argument to make that it's time to rally around Marco Rubio.
So they split 2 and 2 each, Trump and Ted, and you know why he won Maine.
And I want to congratulate Ted on Maine and on Kansas, and he should do well in Maine because it's very close to Canada. Let's face it. I mean,
yeah, that was funny.
That was funny. It was a good line. All right, Kurt in Park Ridge, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I had a theory about Hillary. I think the president's holding off till she locks up the nomination before he lets the State Department go after her, because he doesn't want Bernie Sanders to be the nominee. And then once they go after her, then Biden's going to have to come in a broker convention. But if they do it too early, then Sanders might end up being a nominee.
It's a contested convention. Crazier things have happened. It's always in the back of one's mind.
Thanks for the call, Kurt. The conspiracy theories, though.
Oh, I love conspiracy theories.
Well, I know you do. I don't, because it presumes competence that is not evident.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I have that on a T-shirt.
Presuming competence not evident. Yeah.
Thanks.
Verlin on the South Side. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
What's up, Dan and Amy?
What up?
Dan, I swear to God, I tried my best to watch the Democratic debate. I watched it for 7 minutes, and I just went to my DVR and put on Batman the animated movie, because that was better than watching the Democratic debate.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna tell you something, Dan. It's I come to the realization that Trump is gonna be the president, and listen, now I was with Rubio. I was with you, Amy. I was with Rubio, but I'm gonna tell you that. I was with Rubio, but it's over for Rubio. Listen, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just coming to the realization that he's going to be president, because in this generation that we're living in, it's all about entertainment, and he has star power. Think about something now. Look at my madness. Barack Obama had star power. Trump has star power, and the last few presidents had star power. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Ronald Reagan said this. They asked him a question. How can you think you can be an actor and do this job? He said, how can you not be an actor and do this job? It's all about the show. It's all about the show. And mark my words, Trump is going to be president.
Thanks for the call, Verlin. I don't disagree with that, as I want to quote Earl Long, Huey Long's brother down there in Louisiana, people don't want good government, they want good entertainment. Tweet from Eduardo Fernandez to Verlin's point. I thought I was watching The Walking Dead for the past half hour. Turns out it was the Democrat debate.
Yeah, they had their season finale last night.
Often confused, a couple of zombies in Flint, Michigan. Mark in Lake Forest.
Hey guys, I'm listening to your representative or the congresswoman from Hawaii. She sounded so stupid. Does she know that she'll be paying 70% of her income in taxes? That's what Bernie Sanders wants to do. All these college kids, Dan, are paying $50,000 to go to Northwestern, and all they want to do, there's signs all over, Bernie Sanders. Do they not know what the tax rate is that he wants?
Correct. They do not know.
No, they don't know, and they just think, free education, free health care, single payer. It sounds great.
And don't get me wrong, that woman sounded so nice. She almost sounded too nice to be in Congress. But at some point, it's tax time. Maybe they should all do their taxes. They should all get TurboTax, do their taxes, and find out who's going to work. Are you going to work if you have to pay 65%? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mark. Although, look, Tulsi Gabbard, she's focused on national security issues, and she wants to stop Hillary. I'm game for that. Mark in Des Plaines, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, I think, Cruz is the only one who can deny the 1237 that Trump needs in delegate count. But I do not think that Romney's going to, vie for the nomination. I just don't see that happening. I think he made that statement the other day of his own volition, just to make the comment, because I think that's the way he genuinely feels. What do you think, Dan? Do you think that Romney's going to be the? I think there's
white hope.
No,
the great white.
I don't either.
Thanks for the call, Mark. The good news about this election cycle, even amidst perhaps some bad news, is Mitt Romney will not be the Republican nominee for president this time around.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Running a business is tough these days. From a president who claimed it,
you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
To the mountains and mountains of taxes and regulations here in Illinois. But many companies, big and small, have persevered, serving their customers and communities. If that's you and your business, then AM 560 The Answer wants to celebrate your success and tell your story. It's the AM 560 Business Tour 2016, presented by Signature Bank. This spring, Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson will be broadcasting live from businesses in Illinois with success stories of overcoming the odds and thriving in spite of the challenging business environment. If your company fits this description, then we want to know about it so we can consider broadcasting from your location. Tell us your story. Visit 560theanswer.com/business and submit your information. That's 560theanswer.com/business. Sponsored in part by Flex Execs Management Solutions.
Professional chefs at fine restaurants know that the secret to juicier and more succulent food is intense heat. The intense heat sears the food and locks in flavor. Solaire Infrared Grills gives you that high heat. Now you can produce the same delicious food served at high-end restaurants right in your own backyard. No matter what meat, veggies, or fruit you're grilling, it's going to taste great. Learn more about American-made Solaire Infrared Grills at besthotgrill.com. besthotgrill.com.
Starting March 10th, Court Theater in Hyde Park presents Eugene O'Neill's Tony Award-winning drama, Long Day's Journey into Night. The play stars film, TV, and stage performer Harris Yulin and features one of Chicago's finest actresses, Mary Beth Fisher. This powerful and classic tale of a family struggling to heal themselves and forgive each other is a must-see theatrical event. Reserve your seat by calling 773-753-4472 or visit courttheater.org. That's courttheater.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Remembering Nancy Reagan, her main contribution, bringing booze back to the White House. That's how I remember.
And she also had close ties to the city growing up here. But first, let's go into the newsroom and say hello again to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, 51 degrees. Former First Lady Nancy Reagan will be buried later this week in Simi Valley, California. She passed away Sunday at her Los Angeles area home at the age of 94. Her son, Ron, on the Today Show this morning, saying his mother was totally dedicated to her husband.
I think that she knew how to love somebody. That would be, and you can do a lot worse than that in life. That's what I think of. When I think of my mother, I think of her relationship with her husband.
Officials say Mrs. Reagan will be laid to rest next to her husband at the Reagan Presidential Library. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders will face off again tonight at a town hall event on Fox News. It's a day after the Democratic presidential candidates debated on CNN in Flint, where they both called on Governor Rick Snyder to resign.
The state should also be sending money immediately to help this city.
Sanders says he would fire anyone in federal government or local government who knew about the Flint problem. Man credited with inventing email is dead. The Sydney Morning Herald reports Ray Tomlinson died of a heart attack Saturday at the age of 74. Tomlinson sent the first email ever in 1971, working in Boston for a company that helped develop an early version of the Internet. Tomlinson created the @ symbol in your email. Peyton Manning calling it quits. The Denver quarterback will make the announcement later today after helping the Broncos win Super Bowl 50. Lovie Smith is about to become the new head football coach at the University of Illinois. Multiple reports say Smith will have his name announced, replacing Bill Cubitt, who was fired on Saturday. You may recall he coached the Bears from 2004 to 2012. Chicago sports, Blackhawks over Detroit 4-1. Corey Crawford with 33 saves. Men's college hoops ahead of the Big Ten tournament. Penn State knocked off the Fighting Illini 86-79 in double overtime, and 20 wins for Northwestern. First time ever for the Cats after they beat Nebraska 65-54. The news, a service of your Chicagoland JiffyLube.com. You don't have to make an appointment at Jiffy Lube, and they now offer brake service at some of their locations. So if you need a high-quality oil change, brake service, or any other preventative maintenance, Jiffy Lube has you covered. For a listing of Jiffy Lube locations that offer brake services, visit ChicagolandJiffyLube.com. 8:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Even after a win in Nevada, Mike Gallagher isn't ready to call Trump the nominee.
The establishment, make no mistake, these guys do not like Donald Trump. They do not like Ted Cruz. But these guys are saying it looks like it's going to be Trump. You're not going to be able to stop Trump. And I have to confess, I don't see that right now. And I wonder if that's not a bit of a game that they're playing. Because there's a lot of gamesmanship, let's face it.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
The only significant, among all the vitamins I changed, nothing affected cholesterol. I took this and my cholesterol dropped by 15 or 20%.
Yeah, with the acid reflux, and I have GERD and gastritis, and it really seems to be helping a lot, and my husband too. I mean, we're very happy with the product, I got to say it. It's been great, and we've seen dramatic results, so I can't say anything bad about it. We've really been happy with the product. We've been amazed with it.
There is a value in it because it has fruits and veggies, and I'm not a fruit and veggies eater, and I know this is helpful.
Good health is just a phone call away. What are you waiting for? Call now and take the health challenge to get a free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 1-800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
8:36, let's get an update on the roads in our Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. It's heavy on the Kennedy, but not extreme. We have delays from Sayre to the Burn Circle. It's Pulaski Day. 44 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 31 from Montrose, but 37 heavier in the Express. Outbound 51 minutes downtown to the airport. Edens, 20 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 26. The Eisenhower, it's an hour and 2 minutes Thorndale to downtown, 43 minutes from Manheim, outbound 50 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 54 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 39. Bryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive delays. Southbound Foster to North Avenue, northbound 18th to Jackson. Or On Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to Ogden and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway slow 31 to 25, and from Barrington Road to Gulf Road. See delays on the northbound Veterans Memorial, Maple to the Reagan Tollway, Butterfield to St. Charles with a crash, and Army Trail to Lake. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Later today, cloudy and breezy. Showers begin, high 59. And cloudy, breezy, and mild overnight, low 52. 51 at O'Hare, 52 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 9, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter, well, hear about it from your friends. Find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, and remembering Nancy Reagan, of course, a flood of memories come back when you hear the news yesterday that she passed away at the age of 94. So much has been written about them, particularly after the presidency. But their presidency was not without its bumps, including for Nancy. Sometimes it's forgotten what the First Lady goes through. She was not exactly warmly received by the Washington press corps when they came to town, and she sat down for an interview on 60 Minutes with her friend Mike Wallace at the time to discuss, and this was at the end of their first year. This was in December of 81, and Nancy Reagan offered her perspective on the media with which she had become accustomed.
It seems to me that all we read and all we hear are the terrible things that have happened, the nasty things that have happened. I know in today's world the news people have to talk about what's going on in the world, and there are terrible things that are going on in the world right now. But let's have a little balance. Let's try to bring people up and give them some hope and some encouragement and some moral values.
I love what she's saying.
Yeah, and
people ripped on her for that "Just Say No to Drugs" campaign. I have to tell you, I used the line. I loved it. I know it's simplistic, just say no, but when you were faced with possibly trying drugs in high school or in junior high, just say no, and I just said no.
Well, and Nancy Reagan, if you remember, she gave a national address laying out this policy, it's a campaign, really, this awareness campaign. She explained it.
Our young people are helping us lead the way. Not long ago in Oakland, California, I was asked by a group of children what to do if they were offered drugs. And I answered, just say no. Soon after that, those children in Oakland formed a Just Say No club. And now there are over 10,000 such clubs all over the country. Say yes to your life. And when it comes to drugs and alcohol, just say no.
And her passing, though, I can't let this go by. Passing. You remember President Obama when he was in Springfield talked about, as he's talked about so much, a better kind of politics.
Compromising with the other party?
No, the tone and tenor, the less meanness, less polarization. Yeah, well, the left has responded to that challenge issued by President Obama, and they've essentially responded the way that he has by ignoring it. The tweets coming across from some leftists, Washington Post, Lois Romano in the Washington Post.
He should be reprimanded for that article he wrote. That was not fair.
Lois. Nancy Reagan had an undeniable knack for inviting controversy, extravagant spending habits at a time of double-digit unemployment, chaotic relationship with her children and stepchildren that could rival a soap opera plot, the jaw-dropping news that she had insisted the White House abide by an astrologer when planning the president's schedule.
Well, they had that astrologer for 7 years, and she did it because there was an assassination attempt on her husband, an assassination attempt on the Pope, and on John Lennon. So she decided to, consult an astrologer about the scheduling of important events. because she worried so much. She loved him so much then that every time he left, she was worried whether or not he'd come back in.
Yeah, well, that's bizarre. But the point is that she's treated badly by the Washington Press Corps initially. Kind of turned into a one-dimensional figure. The same people that are treating, I would say, Michelle Obama or even Hillary Clinton, they treated them very, very differently. In addition to that, she's treated badly by these leftists who are prone to call for civility in our politics on the occasion of her passing, which says something about them more than it does about Nancy Reagan.
And we're not even going to stoop to their level and read the tweets that were coming out on Sunday. I mean, it was enough to make me turn off Twitter for a while, and I thought, really have some respect for people. But Nancy Reagan, she has connections to Chicago. She went to Latin High School. She graduated in 1939, top of her class, an honor student. And her senior year, guess what play she was a lead in?
Guys and Dolls.
Nope. A play called First Lady. And she was the first lady in the play First Lady.
I don't get the connection.
You don't get it. And her stepfather was a well-known neurosurgeon at Northwestern University, Northwestern Memorial Hospital.
You know, Chicago connection for them both. Obviously, President Reagan, born in Tampico, grew up in Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Spent some time in Hyde Park for a year.
Yes.
When he was 2 years. I have a brick from his building on the desk.
Yes.
On my desk, if you ever want to play with it.
A football player at Eureka College and all that.
But she came back to Chicago after college and worked at Marshall Field's department store until she moved on and wanted to become an actress. So then she moved out to Hollywood. I just loved.
That's what I should have done.
I know, Dan. Gosh, we could do it over. There's still time.
Should have been an
But
actress.
I just loved the relationship between her and Ronald Reagan because it was a true love story. You didn't need to go to a movie to watch it. You could just see every time they were at a state dinner or every time they were at a joint press conference. They just adored one another.
I think I was born to be married. I was the happiest girl in the world when I became we.
Yeah, and those around the Reagans noted that Michael Deaver, her deputy chief of staff, wrote a biography on Nancy Reagan called Nancy, Portrait of a First Lady, where he talked about everything about Nancy that drove her in terms of her decision-making was about protecting Ronnie, as she called him, and advancing his agenda as the President of the United States. Ed Meese issued a statement yesterday, of course, Reagan's Attorney General. Her devotion to her husband was an important factor in his success as governor of California and as president. Her leadership in the campaign to prevent drug abuse in the 80s was a significant element in achieving a major reduction in illegal drug use by young people during that decade. During the 1970s, she and then Governor Reagan were host to many of the returning Vietnam prisoners of war, including now Senator John McCain. So that's how Ed Meese remembered her. And this interview, I thought, too, was really interesting. I think it encapsulates the relationship they have to some extent. Nancy Reagan sitting down again with a friend, Larry King. This is 3 years after Ronald Reagan had passed away, talking about what life is like after Ronnie was gone.
It was true. We didn't like to be apart. We just didn't like it.
No, he writes repeatedly that she's gone overnight. I'm lost.
I know. And I remember one country that we went to. I don't remember what country it was, but they put us in separate bedrooms. Well, Ronnie was just having a fit. I don't know if they ever moved us or what, but we didn't like to be apart.
Ever miss him? I mean, not ever miss him. How much do you miss him?
Ronnie?
How long has it been now? I can't remember. It seems like yesterday.
I know. To you, maybe. No, there are people who told me that it gets much easier. Well, maybe for them, but not for me. I miss him more now than I ever did.
And whether you believe it or not, I mean, she talked to Diane Sawyer and she said, I know when I pass away, the first person I'll see is Ronnie.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. And she was actually looking forward to reuniting with him in heaven. And I don't think that's hokey or anything. I mean, they were together for 50 years, and those pictures of her sitting next to his gravesite at, his the Reagan Library, and now she'll be buried next to him.
Yeah, I don't think it's hokey at all. In fact, I think they are reunited for eternity, and that's the way it should be.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine and warm weather to go along with it. 50 degrees right now at O'Hare, going up to a high of 59 degrees. And then tomorrow, cloudy, windy, and warmer, a high of 67. Oh, and by the way, sorry, I forgot this part of the forecast. There might be a brief shower or two this afternoon on your travel home, but let's see how the travel to work's going. How's that crash at Kennedy and Costner coming, Jim?
It's gone, Amy. That's the good news. Travel time holding around 48 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. It's slow from Lawrence to the Burn Circle. 34 minutes from Montrose, 32 in the Express. The Ohio feeder's heavy. Outbound 34 minutes downtown to the airport, so that's a big improvement. Eden's 20 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 26. The Eisenhower, an hour and 2 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. 43 minutes from Manheim, outbound still 50 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 47 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound now clear. Bryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, slow from the Stevenson to Ogden and from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway, stop and go Roselle to Gulf. And westbound from the Tri-State to Lee. Veterans Memorial, slow northbound Butterfield to St. Charles. Crash in the left lane. Southbound Army Trail to St. Charles. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
ChicagoRadioDeals.com has pulled the trigger to bring you classes for Illinois gun owners. Take advantage of a new Illinois concealed carry class from Safer USA. Dave Lombardo, class instructor, is offering his concealed carry 16-hour seminar for only $150. Now, this seminar is normally $300, and it covers everything you need to know to protect you and your family with a concealed carry firearm for personal protection or against a home invasion. Dave is a pro and also the host of the show On Target Radio. Get in a little range time as well with a one-year range membership from the Outdoorsman Sports Shop in Winthrop Harbor. This is the premier gun range in Northeast Illinois, and a one-year membership is only $149. That is a $350 value. Your range membership includes great discounts on products and services at the Outdoorsman Sports Shop. Find out all the details at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Also featuring great deals on many other lifestyle training classes. Find it all at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
Business moves at the speed of trust. Trust in your product, and just as imperative, trust in those that represent your business. For almost 3 decades, Flex Execs has helped their clients become more competitive by recruiting and vetting qualified experts for short-term assignments in HR, accounting, marketing, and operations. Need individual consultants or project teams from staff level to the executive suite? Flex Execs' talented consultants are superior and unmatched. Whether you require interim experts or have regular positions to fill, Flex Exec's professional recruiting organization will help you meet your deadlines, control costs, and place the people you need for maximum business results. Business moves at the speed of trust. Trust the people that represent your business. You can't afford not to. Connect online with Flex Execs at flex2016.com or call Chris at 630-655-0563, extension 2. Flex2016.com or call Chris at 630-655-0563, extension 2. Join me and presidential candidate Ted Cruz at the Northwest Suburban Republican Lincoln Day Dinner taking place this Friday, March 11th at the Meadows Club in Rolling Meadows. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit 560theanswer.com and search the keyword Cruz. Time is running out to purchase your tickets, so buy them today.
This is Pete. I've had 3 missing teeth and have been thinking for a while about getting something done to get them replaced. I went to Dr. Neruzzi at Fox River Periodontics to see what they could do, and I'm glad that I did that. The staff there was fantastic. Dr. Neruzzi made sure I was comfortable during the entire process, always checking to make sure there was no pain. All my visits were very pleasant, and I'm glad I had it done. Another piece that made it fantastic was they worked with me on the payment. As all of us know, these are not inexpensive items to do, so they worked with me on the payment options as well as with my insurance carrier to help minimize my out-of-pocket cost. I feel so much better now that I've had my teeth and my dental implants put in. I feel more confident as I'm walking around. For those of you out there that are missing teeth and thinking about doing this, I would recommend you see Dr. Neruzzi and his staff. They're great, and I would highly recommend them going forward.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants. Go to implantsforme.com.
For missing teeth, dental implants are wonderful. The advantages are fantastic. Just remember, implantsforme.com. Implantsforme.com.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so this piece of legislation comes to us from California. So you can assume that some Chicago Democrat will pick it up and try and run with it. That's normally what happens. Or New York. That's where Ed Burke gets all of his ideas. whatever ding battery is coming out of New York or California. California is the first state to revisit instituting a travel ban based on a state's LGBT laws. This is, of course, following in the wake of the controversy over Indiana's religious freedom bill last year. A California assemblyman named Evan Lowe, Democrat, obviously, proposed a bill as part of a package of LGBT-related bills that would cut off state aid to public colleges and universities with similar freedom regulations, religious freedom regulations. So religious freedom. So if you abide the First Amendment at a California college or university, you could lose state funding. Also wants to prohibit state employees from using government funds to travel to states that have laws that he believes discriminate against LGBT community, as well as to restrict California athletic teams at California public colleges, universities from traveling to those states as well. So you can look for, Cal, Berkeley, Stanford, and so on. Not Stanford, but Cal, Berkeley, and other public colleges, universities to be forfeiting a lot of games in the near term.
This reminds me. Remember when Arizona wanted to send people who were in Arizona legally back, and then the Highland Park girls basketball team, they were going to go to a tournament in Arizona. They canceled, and everyone seemed to take a stance against the state of Arizona and traveling to Arizona. So this is a proposed legislation that he authored.
Okay, the California bill would include all 21 states that have some kind of religious freedom law, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures count. So there you go. Again, when you open Pandora's box, you think you get to decide when you close it, and you don't, do you? So you send your kids to California. They may not coming back to your state if it's a state like Indiana with that respects religious freedom as enshrined in the First Amendment, because Evan Lowe, California assemblyman, says we shouldn't be sending our athletes at our universities back. We shouldn't be funding our universities that would provide for religious freedom on a college campus. And you want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because Evan Lowe told us. Oh. No one wants to send employees into an environment where they would be uncomfortable. So like Indiana, if you're a California state employee, you could be uncomfortable. And
people don't sit there and heckle them and harass them and get in their face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Grow up. That is just the dumbest piece of legislation I think I've ever heard.
Well,
but the thing is, do you think it'll pass?
Famous last words, just when you think you've heard the dumbest piece of legislation possible, legislators like Evan Lowe find a new low.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Republican Michelle Moore is an active member of her church who spends her Tuesday afternoon